You're a musician.
That is correct.
You make music videos.
Yes, I have a video production company.
Do you advertise making videos?
Absolutely not. I haven't done a music video in almost 10 years.
I still don't understand how you make a living.
This is Judy Justice. Edmund Hay is suing videographer Ramsey Hill for breach of contract.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judy.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 2057, Hay versus Hill.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Hay, you're a musician.
I am a songwriter and I sing song. I don't play the instrument, Your Honor.
That's music.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hill, you make music videos.
Yes, I have a video production company.
For how long, sir?
Since 2006.
Do you have employees?
No.
Just you?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a place of business?
Yes, I work at my home.
So your place of business,
Is the residence.
you have a studio in the residence?
No, we do not.
Where do you record this music?
Most of the time we do it on location, but I haven't done a music video in almost 10 years.
When you say you have a video business, you haven't done music videos.
Right,
You
yes.
have done what kind of videos?
Well, we've done a small film. We have a 3D full-length original animation that we do. We also have a network that we show podcasts on. We have a health and fitness show, and we was working on a reality TV show and an entertainment news show.
I still don't understand how you make a living. Working on, thinking about being in this business myself, that doesn't produce any income. How do you earn a regular income?
Oh, I have a regular 9-to-5 job. besides
Oh, okay,
doing,
now that's where we go.
Yeah.
So your 9-to-5 job is what?
Right now I'm an insurance agent.
Do you advertise making videos?
Absolutely not. The only reason I did this was as a favor to a friend.
Well, you didn't do it for a favor because you were charging him.
No, the only reason I accepted to do the video was because a friend asked me to meet with him.
I understand that.
yeah.
But you weren't doing him a favor because you were charging him.
No, I was doing the friend a favor. I wasn't doing him a favor. No. Right.
Mr. Hill, if somebody says, listen, I have a friend who wants to make a video. I know you've got a setup in your house where you could do that, or you do it on location. Would you like to be introduced to him? And you say, sure. That doesn't mean you're doing him a favor. So you haven't made a music video in 10 years. You're an insurance agent. And you met with Mr. Hay on what date?
I'm not really sure.
On what date, Mr. Hay?
We met sometime in early April, late March.
Did you have a written contract?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was to make certain videos.
Yes.
I'd like to see the written contract, please. This lawsuit seeks a refund of the money that you gave to him because the entire contract was not fulfilled. That's what the case is about.
That is correct.
Edmund hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
Okay, so there is a full and complete agreement. Was this the only agreement there was in writing?
That's the one for that one.
That's the one for what?
For that particular item, there's another one here.
Well, that's what I wanted to know. There's one to produce 3 videos.
That is correct.
Okay. Is there another written contract?
He said this is not a contract.
Well, but I'm asking you, is there another written contract that you're relying on? Because he was supposed to make 3 videos, and the cost of the 3 videos was $1,500?
$3,000.
$3,000. And then there was an additional agreement.
For the live performance, of which he demanded $1,500 from me.
Okay.
Okay,
And then
that's
there's-
not
just a second.
correct. That's not
just
correct.
Just a second. So it is your claim that in addition to the $3,000, $1,500 of which you paid to him, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
There was a subsequent contract afterwards for an additional item. I'd like to see that.
For the live performance on
I
May
understand.
1st.
Okay. You wanted to do something live on one of his radio stations or...
Mr. Hill.
No, I'm going to read this.
Okay, ma'am.
Judy reviews a second document.
Okay. Let's deal with the easier one first. Did you receive the $1,500 for this contract?
Yes.
And that was for a live performance on one of your outlets.
Right.
And that was to take place on May 1st.
May 1st.
And did it, in fact, take place?
No.
Did it, in fact, take place?
Not at all.
Well, so then he gets his $1,500 back. That's one.
Thank you, Your
But
Honor.
I'm not asking you anything. There's nothing else that you have to tell me about that, right? You paid him $1,500.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't do a live performance. You get your $1,500 back.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, with regard to the 3 videos, you've given him a total now of $3,000?
$1,500, Your Honor.
How much did you pay him on this?
For the videos,
Yes.
I gave him $500 up front to start off on that project. And then that's on the 21st. And then I gave him $1,000 by the 27th, I think, for the 3 videos.
So you gave him.
$1,500.
So you gave him. The 3 videos were supposed to be $3,000, and you gave him $1,500.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How many videos were produced for you?
1.
Is it accurate that 1 video was produced for Mr. Hay,
Yes.
and it was done on a particular date,
Right.
and you gave him that video?
Yes.
On what date did you give him that video?
It was a week before the 31st.
Did you do any work on the other 2 videos?
No.
Okay. Each video was supposed to cost $1,000.
Yes.
And you received 1 video,
Yes, ma'am.
and you paid him $1,500 so far as down payment on 3, so you have $1,500 that you believe is coming back to you from that amount of money, in addition to the $1,500 that I've already given you.
No, the $1,500 covered the first video. It wasn't a breakdown like he's trying to make it into 3 videos. No, the $1,500 was the cost, was the full cost for the first video.
Does it say that in here?
Ramsey nods. Edmund shakes his head. Caption coming up.
He's not giving you more money back.
No.
He's not giving you more money that you gave him. Do you understand? He's
Your Honor,
giving.
Your Honor, may I say this, please?
You could say whatever you want to say.
And later today,
Well, you have a defense for not paying rent for those 3 months, which you clearly occupied her premises. Who wants to tell me why you didn't pay rent?
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Edmund and Ramsey.
Edmund Hay claims videographer Ramsey Hill breached their music video contract.
Kevin, would you please ask Mr. Hill to show me where in this contract, and I may have missed it, that $3,000 was to be paid for 3 videos.
Right.
But the first one cost half, cost $1,500. All I want you to do is to show me in that contract where it says that. If it says that, then Mr. Hay gets back the $1,500 from live music performance. That
The
was
music video production won $1,500.
Just a second. Can I see it, please?
Kevin brings the document back to Judy, who reviews it.
Yes, it does. Mr. Hay, that's exactly what it says. It says music video, the first production is $1,500.
Okay.
And you got 1 produced video, correct?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay, well,
So,
and you're absolutely right. What?
so the reason why I'm suing him for the extra $1,000, Your Honor, is for the live performance that he didn't perform. I had to hire 2 other persons to
That's not his problem. He didn't perform. He didn't
No,
he didn't do the live performance.
No, first of all,
and
he
you're getting your money
sabotaged.
back.
I'm
He's not
sorry.
giving you more money back.
No.
He's not giving you more money than you gave him. Do you understand? He's
Your Honor,
giving.
Your Honor, may I say this, please?
You could say whatever you want to say. He's not paying for you to do another live performance with other people. He didn't perform pursuant to the contract, and you're getting your money back because he didn't perform that contract. With regard to this contract, he performed pursuant to this contract. You get nothing. It's easy.
For the music, correct? For the videos, correct?
For the videos, he produced 1, and 1 was $1,500. That's what this contract says.
The contract is about making 3 videos, Your Honor.
That's all right. If you want to look at it, do you want to see it? Have we shown it to you?
No, I'm asking pertaining to what he says. He says pertaining to just 1 for the 1,500.
It says it's clear. Music video, #1 production, $1,500.
Number 1, which means there's 2 more need to be done.
Correct, but the
He
first
did
one was,
not-
just a second, the first one was $1,500. He could have very easily said, Mr. Hay, production #1, $1,000. Production #2.
He explained that like you just said to me, and he wrote that in words for that purpose.
This is what the court is bound by, sir. Not what he may have explained to you, because you cannot modify in the law a written contract by oral communications between the parties. It's in writing. If you wanted him to write production 1, $1,000, then you would have said, write production 1, that each video was $1,000.
Your Honor,
This is not an argument, sir.
I'm not
This is
arguing,
not an
Your Honor.
argument. Good, because that's what it says.
I'm not arguing.
Contract speaks for itself. On the initial contract, he has to give you a refund of $1,500. On this contract, he produced #1 video for which you paid him $1,500. That's what the contract calls for. We're done here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This
Thank
court
you,
is
Ron.
adjourned.
Well, it's a fair decision.
There is no breaching of my end on the contract.
It would never have been any money if he'd have kept things on course.
How did I breach the contract when I'm here getting the money for the contract?
I'm not working with anybody like that anymore.
Sarah.
You cannot have an oral modification of a written contract. So I think it's a good lesson for people signing written contracts that if you don't agree or you have a different understanding than something that's listed in the contract, don't let the other person just explain it away in the moment, because as we've seen, that doesn't hold up in court and your rights are going to be really limited to what's in that written agreement. So it's important.
People should know that.
Yeah.
Case 2053, Johnson versus Blue. All parties, please come forward.
Rochelle Johnson is suing her sister-in-law, Monique Blue, and her brother, Antonio Blue, for unpaid rent and window blinds.
Ms. Johnson, the defendant is your brother.
That is correct.
And his co-defendant, your brother's wife. You had a home that was located in what state?
California.
Several years ago, you decided to move out of state, I think to Arizona.
Yes.
And at that time, you discussed with your brother and his wife renting your home. You entered into a lease with them. Was it a 2-year lease?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was a written lease.
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that lease?
I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
That's a 2-year, and I also have a 6-month.
No.
You want the 6? Okay.
Just the first lease first, because I'm old and I can only absorb a certain amount of facts at one time.
Rochelle produces a document, then hands it to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
It's a pretty straightforward lease. It's a lease for 24 months, starting the 1st of July, 2019, and terminating on July 1st, 2021. $1,600 a month rent, there's a small security deposit, and all the other terms and conditions are rather standard. Your complaint says that when you went to the state of Arizona, ultimately you ascertained that your health coverage, your lifetime health coverage, was not covered in the state of Arizona. You decided you wanted to move back to California. You don't even have to give a reason why you want to move back to California. You can move back to California into your house on July 1st, 2021. You understand that?
Yes.
Great. And you came back to California on what date?
I don't recall the exact date, but I also extended a 6-month.
I understand. When did you come back to California? In March. That's what you said here. I think in March.
Okay, right now I don't recall.
I think
but
in
whatever.
March of 2022 is when you ultimately came back because they vacated sometime the beginning of March.
No. I came back prior to that. I stayed with my son for a year until...
Until the lease was up?
Yes, ma'am.
Your son lives in California?
Yes, Beaumont, California.
Now, I'd like to see the extension of the lease for 6 months.
Rochelle produces another document, then hands it to Kevin. He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
Okay, so you acknowledge, Mr. and Mrs. Blue, that the 6-month extension that you both signed terminated on December 31st.
Yes.
Did you vacate the house on December 31st?
No, we hadn't found a place yet.
That's not her problem. That would be your problem. Did she give you permission to stay beyond December 31st?
Caption, coming up.
On what date, sir, did you close on that property?
I can't remember offhand.
We're not talking about so long ago.
February 7th is listed as the closing date.
That sound familiar? That's what it says.
Yes.
Well, then you had 3 weeks to move in.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Rochelle, Monique, and Antonio.
Rochelle Johnson claims her sister-in-law, Monique Blue, and her brother, Antonio Blue, owe for unpaid rent and window blinds. Monique and Antonio are countersuing for harassment and invasion of privacy.
Okay. Did she give you permission to stay beyond December 31st?
No.
So you stayed beyond December 31st. Were you there in January? Uh-huh is not an answer. Were you there in February?
Yes.
Were you there on March 1st?
Yes.
On March 2nd?
Yes.
On March 3rd?
Yes.
On what day in March did you move out?
March 5th.
Did you pay rent in the month of January?
No.
February?
No.
March?
No.
Okay, that's what she's suing for.
Right.
Well, you have a defense for not paying rent for those 3 months, which you clearly occupied her premises. Who wants to tell me why you didn't pay rent?
She told us in the beginning we were supposed to buy the house. We did numerous renovations to our house. We cleaned it up. And when we first moved in July 1st, it wasn't move-in ready.
I don't care. You lived there. Not only did you live there, you executed a second lease for another 6 months. You lived there from the beginning of the lease up until March 5th, which is 3 months beyond when you were supposed to be there. I'm waiting for a defense and not paying rent.
Yes. For July 2019, when we first moved in, the house was hideous. She had stuff in every room. We weren't able to move our stuff in.
Did you live there?
Yes, we had nowhere else to go.
I don't care. You had a choice. If the house wasn't in move-in condition, you break your lease, but you don't say at the end of the lease, by the way, when we were there 2.5 years ago, the house wasn't ready for us to move in. It wasn't in condition that we liked. We lived there anyway. So that's not an excuse for not paying rent at the other end. Anything else?
Yeah. She offered to give us the last month rent that we were there for free.
The last
The
month?
last month rent. I have the papers.
Well, I'd like to take a look at that, but you owe 3 months.
3 months? We moved off March 5th.
I don't care. You were there March 1st. That's the month.
Okay.
Did you indicate to them that you would give them a month off the rent? Okay.
No, ma'am.
She says that you did. I'd
I would like to see
it.
your evidence as well.
No, just shh.
Monique hands the document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
No, she agreed to waive the final month's rent for the period of April 1st, 2022 to May 2nd, 2022. You were gone in March.
Right.
And your lease, for some reason, she agreed to waive rent for a month that you weren't there. She didn't waive January, February, or March. She agreed to waive it April 1, 2022 to May 2nd, 2022. That's no evidence that she waived any rent.
We moved out in March 5th. Why do we still owe her for March?
Because you were there in March.
Okay.
If she was using the premises as a rental premises and you were leaving at the end of February, then she would have been able to rent her premises beginning March 1st. You don't move out until March 5th, the beginning of March. That means she needs a couple of days, or any landlord would need a couple of days to put the place in order and re-rent it. They wouldn't be able to re-rent until April. So you were there. Is there any reason you stayed until March 5th instead of... Just a second. You didn't let me finish the question. Is there any reason why you didn't move out the last day in February and instead stayed into March?
Because our house wasn't ready yet.
What do you mean it wasn't ready?
We wasn't ready to move in there yet.
What was wrong with it? Where did you move?
Victorville, California.
Okay, to what kind of property?
We bought a house.
Okay, when did you buy the house? What month?
We get close January something.
So you bought the house in January. When you inspected the house that you bought, did you buy it furnished or unfurnished?
Unfurnished.
Did you have furniture in the plaintiff's house?
Yes.
You'll give her the address so she can check.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Sarah, just look it up for me, please. On what date did you close on that property?
February?
No, don't.
February?
On what date, sir, did you close on that property? It's probably in the record.
I can't remember offhand.
We're not talking about so long ago. Is there an address?
February 7th is listed as the closing date.
2/7. So the house became yours on February 7th. That sound familiar? That's what it says.
Yes.
Well, then you had 3 weeks to move in, to get it ready.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well,
All right. Fine. So you owe her 3 months' rent at $1,600 a month.
what about the renovations we did to our house?
Who cares? I live in a place for a couple of years and I make changes to the place that I find make it more comfortable. There's nothing in this lease agreement that says that she has to reimburse you for things that she did, and this is not a rent-to-buy agreement. This is a straight tenancy
Well,
agreement.
we were supposed to buy her house.
There are agreements that are rent to buy that list what the rental is and what the ultimate purchase price will be, and whether or not you can deduct the rent that you've paid or a percentage of it from the total purchase price, or whether you cannot. This is a straight rental agreement. So if you made improvements in the house, if you painted it, if you put in new carpeting to make it more comfortable for yourself, you don't get reimbursed for that because there's nothing in your lease that requires her to reimburse you for any improvements that you make in the house, you're bound by the four corners of the contract that you signed.
Well, what about how the conditions that we moved in?
Well,
That she doesn't.
Yes. By living there for 2.5 years, without, I assume, unless you can show me, without, I assume, a written complaint to her. Do you have that? Do you have a written complaint? No. I asked you, sir.
I have pictures.
$4,800. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you.
court is
You
adjourned.
count the claims dismissed. It's ridiculous.
Outside the courtroom, Rochelle, then Monique.
My mother's deceased, and it would actually hurt my mother to see us in court today. And that's my only regret, that I had to do that.
We're done.
The bottom line is, I am back in my house.
Sarah.
So I had a thought about that case because going through college, I think the first time I saw a lease was my sophomore year or so when I moved off campus. And my dad, luckily enough, was there to help me look over it and sort of teach me what a lease was, what the different sections meant, what I should really be looking out for. So in my mind, it would make sense for colleges to offer a basic life skills course to teach young incoming freshmen how to read a lease, how to negotiate on your behalf.
Did they offer that class at all to undergraduates?
It seems specified to business students or closed off to certain majors. Just to have some guidance would have been, I think, really helpful.
I think it's a smart idea.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to Judy Justice.
Two drunks, nobody knows who was driving the car when it got totaled.
He called me and say, yo, man, I just crashed your car.
He says that you don't remember because you were so blotto that you were driving. Everybody sober today?
This is Judy Justice. Gray is suing his former friend, Tony Woods, for car damages after a night of drinking and driving.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2018, Gray versus Woods.
Thanks, Kevin. You're welcome. Everybody sober today?
Daniel and Tony grin.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yeah.
You?
Yes, I'm sober.
Yes?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Everybody. Okay, good. You two gentlemen know each other. You went out for an evening. I assume there was some drinking, and your car got totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendant was driving your car when it got totaled.
Yes.
The defendant says he was drinking a little bit, but he says that you don't remember because you were so blotto that you were driving. Right?
Yes.
So that's what the case is about. Simple. Two drunks, nobody knows who was driving the car when it got totaled. Let's see if we can decipher it. If we can't, I may not care. Because you're not supposed to be in a car when you're drunk. Otherwise, you can kill a lot of people, as we all know. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Want to drive drunk and kill yourself, that's one thing. Right? You take a lot of other people down, and sometimes you make it out. So you have to be understanding to the fact that the judicial system really doesn't give a rat's behind if the two of you were drunk and in a car, and neither one of you was together enough to know who was driving the car. When did this incident happen?
It was November 27th, 2021.
How long have you known Mr. Woods, Mr. Gray?
I've known Mr. Woods about 20 years, I would say.
So you've known him since you were kids?
Yeah, since high school.
And you have gone out frequently?
Yes.
Does he come to your house?
Yes.
You go to his house?
Occasionally, yes.
Occasionally. And where were you going on the 27th of November?
We were going downtown Ann Arbor to attend some festivities from the Michigan versus Ohio State football game.
To a football event.
Yeah.
How did Mr. Woods get downtown?
Well, Your Honor, I got dropped off.
By whom?
My friend,
Friend's name?
Lauren.
And where did she drop you off?
She dropped me off in front of the Starbucks downtown where they were waiting because they were drunk. I didn't drink. They
Just a
drank.
second. Lauren dropped you off at Starbucks. Where were you supposed to go from Starbucks?
We were supposed to go to a club and hang out after the game.
So you first went to the game?
No, they went downtown right after the game, and I came to meet up to hang out.
So it was all after the game?
Yes.
What time did Lauren drop Mr. Woods off at Starbucks?
I would say it was around like 3, 4 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
I believe so.
What time did Lauren drop you off?
It had to be about 5:30, 6 o'clock,
And when you say it had to be 5:30 or 6 o'clock, how do you know that?
because the game was over.
I don't know. I don't watch football, so I don't know when it starts and when it's finished. Do you remember what time the game finished?
No, I don't remember exactly.
Okay, so let's say Lauren dropped you off at 5:30. How did you set the time for Mr. Woods to meet you so that he could join your party? The game is over different times. Did you text him? Did he call you?
So on the way, we had left from my barbershop, me and my witness here, Mo Chop.
So you weren't at the game, you were in a barbershop?
Yeah, we were at the barbershop at first. We watched the game.
Oh, you watched, so you didn't go to the
barbershop.
game?
We didn't attend the actual game, no.
Okay.
We watched the game at the
How many people, you, Mohammed, and who else watched the game at the barbershop?
I mean, the barbershop was full of, we were still working at the time. We had left work after the game was over to go downtown to...
Were you watching the game or were you working?
I was doing both.
I would have hated to be your last haircut.
No, actually, it wasn't a lot of people there because that was the biggest game of Michigan's season, the last game, Ohio State. It's a big rivalry, so nobody was at our barbershop.
So
really.
it was just party. It was...
Judy waves a finger around.
It was just party.
You know, I'm old,
Yeah.
so, you know, it was just party. You said, Mohammed?
It was a party.
It was just party. Okay, so you left the barbershop, but how did you find out to meet them at the Starbucks?
We have been communicating through text.
So you knew what time they were leaving the barbershop, and then you got dropped
they
off. Now, what were you doing with Lauren?
I was waiting to get to them.
Where were you before?
I was at home. I watched the game at home.
With Lauren?
No, with myself.
Well, how'd you get Lauren to take you to Starbucks?
Oh, I just asked her and gave her some gas money.
Okay, so now you're at Starbucks, you meet up, and who's driving?
I was driving.
Okay, and that would have been a mistake.
Excuse me?
That would have been a mistake. I wouldn't get behind the wheel of a car, sir, if I was at a party all afternoon watching a big football game.
Ma'am, I wasn't at a party. I was at my barbershop.
I know you were at your barbershop.
Yeah.
Look at Mohammed. I know you were at your barbershop, sir.
There had been any drinking going on at that time.
There was no drinking in the barbershop, Mohammed?
There was people participating. Some people weren't. Some people were. I wasn't. I wasn't participating.
All righty. Okay. So now you go from this party in the barbershop all afternoon from this very big game, and you pick him up, and where were you going?
At that point, we decided to go to a bar.
Where was the bar?
I'm not familiar with downtown Ann Arbor area, but like it was a bar that was suggested by...
Stand up next to him. He's not familiar with a whole lot of things. You suggested a particular bar, Mohammed?
Yeah,
How far is that from the Starbucks where he was dropped off?
about a couple blocks over.
Okay, and you were in the car?
I was in the car.
Were you sitting in the front or the back when you picked up Mr. Woods?
I was sitting in the passenger seat at this point.
So Mr. Woods got in the back?
Yes, he did.
And you were going a couple of blocks to the bar?
Yeah.
Step by step, what happened next?
So traffic is jam-packed down there, so we really just inching to the bar. We get to the bar, we go inside, we have a couple drinks.
Okay, so now it maybe 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
6:30?
Yeah, dark outside.
And you have a couple of drinks at the bar?
Couple drinks, yeah.
What were you drinking?
I was drinking water.
That's not a drink that they like to serve at a bar.
I was a designated driver, so. After we left the bar.
Okay, so you were the designated driver,
Yeah.
and Mr. Gray was drinking.
Yes.
What was he drinking?
I don't remember what his drink is.
You remember what you were drinking?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
I had one beer.
Okay. Even he can't keep a straight face. You know, it's hard. It just, don't speak. Now, you were the designated driver. When were you designated the designated driver?
Well,
think very careful. Before you answer my questions, you know.
Okay.
I'm already 2 steps ahead of this game.
I've
When were you,
I've watched you on TV, yes,
Yeah.
I know.
when were you designated the designated driver?
When we left the bar, I was the designated driver.
No. So it was when you left the bar?
Yes.
And who designated you the designated driver?
Well, I kind of designated myself. I'm pretty familiar with the Ann Arbor area. It's actually my idea to go downtown, so.
So you asked Mr. Gray if you could drive?
Yeah, I thought it would be the best idea.
And Mr. Gray said okay?
Yes, he did.
So you drove, and where were you going from the bar?
To another bar.
Better pickings at the other bar?
Just bar hopping, you know, college, downtown, football.
Okay, and what's the name of that bar?
Where did we go from there?
No!
Judy glares at Mohammed.
Speak, as I look at you. The name of the other bar. Okay, now he helped you with that, right?
Yeah, he jogged my memory a little bit.
He jogged your memory.
Yeah.
So if he knew the bar, why did you have to be the designated driver?
I don't think I understand your question.
It's very easy. You said you were the designated driver because you know that area.
Right. I'm saying I didn't remember what bar we went to. I'm very familiar with the area. I just didn't remember what bar we were going to that night.
Okay. What happened when you got to the second bar?
We had some more drinks and...
we had some more drinks?
Yes.
What was Mr. Gray drinking?
You know, I was talking to some other friends that I met up with there. He was off doing his own thing. I don't remember what he was drinking.
What were you drinking?
Water still at this point. Water. Yeah.
Judy stares at him.
I like to stay hydrated.
She grins at him. Caption coming up.
When I come out of the restroom, my car is gone. So I call him, and he's not answering the phone. So I'm sitting at the shop waiting. He called me and say, "Yo, man, you gonna kill me, man. I just crashed your car. I'm sorry, bro."
Tony shakes his head. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Daniel, Muhammad, and Tony.
Daniel Gray claims his former friend, Tony Woods, drove drunk and crashed his car. Tony says Daniel was the one driving drunk and wrecked his own car.
Okay, so now you had a couple of drinks. You had another glass of water.
Yes.
Mr. Gray and Mr. Woods both were drinking alcohol. And what happened next?
We left there. We went to get something to eat.
Where did you go to eat?
We went to, what's the name of that place?
I don't know the name of the place, and he's not going to tell you.
It's a hot dog place. It's right around the corner from where we was drinking.
And then what happened there?
We got something to eat.
Okay, do you remember what time that was?
You know, I really don't.
Well, you've been already to two bars and a
yeah.
place to eat. So, and if you started out at 6 o'clock, it had to be closer to 9 or 10 o'clock.
Right, yeah.
Okay, then what happened?
Came out of the restaurant. And
you remember what you had at the restaurant?
I had some waffle fries.
And do you remember what Mr. Gray ate?
He had a hot dog.
And do you remember what Mr. Woods ate?
He also had a hot dog.
Good. So you came out of the restaurant. Do you remember who paid the bill?
I think we all paid separately.
Okay, so now you come out of the restaurant.
Yeah, we come out the restaurant, we had eaten already. And this when Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying a little bit, charged at me from across the street. You know, I tried to get him
But just a second.
Okay.
How did he get across the street?
Well, the restaurant was across the street. We parked across the street from the restaurant.
Okay, I got it.
So I had already got back to the car.
Okay.
And Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying, and he ran across the street and tried tackling me, and he got me around my waist. I tried to put him in a headlock, but you see the size of his head. And that just continued throughout the night, this horseplaying.
No. So he's horseplaying with you.
Right.
But you get into the car. You said if you continued all during the night. What I want to know is, from the place where they got hot dogs and you got waffle fries, did you get back into the car?
We did get back into the car. We went one more place.
Okay. Now, when you got back into the car, after the 2 dogs and the fries, who was driving?
At that point, I think I was still driving.
Not think. I don't want to think.
I believe I was driving. I dropped myself off to my next destination because I separated from them two.
You went to one other place?
Yeah.
With them?
With the 3 of them, yes.
And when you got to the other place, you went in or you did not go in?
I went inside, yeah.
Okay. Did you stay there?
I did stay there.
And what about the 2 of them?
They went wherever they went. Back to the barbershop, I believe.
And you were the designated driver.
Up into the
So you were drinking the water.
Yes.
And they were both drinking alcohol. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. What do you mean, yeah? You go to at least 2 bars, maybe 3. You have a whole afternoon of drinking at a barbershop. Not you, you were drinking water.
Water, yeah. I don't know what.
Then you get dropped off. You was the designated driver. Now, they're nowhere near home. So you knew one of them was going to be driving.
Right.
And as far as your testimony is concerned, you were left in the last place that you visited. They went out to go someplace else or go back to the barbershop.
Right.
Did you see them again that evening? Is not an answer. I mean, we're coming to court today. You know, it's not a photo shoot. You came here for testimony.
I don't believe I seen them that night again.
No, I'm just talking about that night. That's what we're talking about, that night. This is the night of the accident, the 27th of November, 2021.
I didn't see them again.
You're in a club. You don't know what happened. Now, when they dropped you off, did you go outside with them or did you just stay in the club?
I stayed inside.
So you don't know anything else?
What happened after that?
Now you can sit.
Thank you.
Muhammad sits.
Okay, now, your witness, the designated water drinking driver, has dropped himself off, and the two of you go outside. What happened?
After he gets dropped off, we are parked at a bar, and
Just a second. He stays there. You get into the car because you're going to another bar.
no, not at this point.
Where were you going?
I was getting ready to go to my barbershop.
He's not with you. Who was driving?
I was driving at that.
Okay, and you were driving to take yourself back, according to you, to the barbershop.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Okay, so we get to the barbershop, and I leave the car running. He's in the car with me
Just a sec. Got to the barbershop, and you left the car running for what reason?
because it was cold outside. It was snow. It was, it's November.
Well, what were you going to the barbershop for?
I went to the barbershop because I needed to use the restroom.
And the barbershop is close by to this last bar you were at?
Yes.
How close?
Maybe like 2 miles.
Okay, so you went to the barbershop. You left the car running, and
So I go in to use the restroom, and I leave the car running, and Mr. Woods was sitting in the car still. So as I'm in the restroom, he comes in and starts knocking on the door and says that he had lost his phone when he had got out the car where we were parked at.
where?
The last bar that we were at. I didn't actually go into the last bar. We was parked there. We were about to go in to meet up with him.
What do you mean to meet up with him? He was with you.
As he said, he met up with another friend.
He didn't tell me that. He said you just dropped him off at the other bar, and you weren't going in, just he was going in. You dropped him off. That's what he said.
No, he went in.
I understand he went in.
All right, I never went in the last bar.
Okay, you didn't go, and neither did he.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking you. He said I lost my phone someplace.
No, where we were parked at, he got out the car for a second. I never got out the car. He got out the car for a second. And at
What
some
was he
point
doing when he got out of the car for a second?
He thought we were about to go in, but I told him that I needed to use the restroom. So he got back in the car. But at some point when he got out the car, he dropped his phone. So I told him I needed to use the restroom, so I go to my shop to use the restroom. I park the car.
Got it.
I get out, I leave the car running. I go in, use the restroom. He comes in, knocks on the door, telling me that, hey, yo, I lost my phone. Can I drive the car? Let me go pick it up real quick. And I tell him no. Like, just wait, I'll be out in a second. So he leaves. I hear the door open and close. I'm thinking that he's just going to sit back in the car. So when I come out of the restroom, my car is gone. I call him, and he's not answering the phone. So I keep calling, and then the next, 10 minutes later, he answers the phone. So I knew he went to go get his phone.
He found his phone?
Yes, and I'm furious at this point because he just left me in my
At the barbershop?
Yeah, in my car. So I tell him, bring my car back right now. He said, I'm on my way, I'll be there in a minute. About 15 minutes later, he called me and say, yo, man, you gonna kill me, man. I just crashed your car. I'm sorry, bro. Mm-hmm. And I had to walk all the way to the accident scene, to the car where he crashed my car at.
Now, you have an accident report?
No, I don't have an accident report.
Why?
Because we never called the police.
That's
because
probably a good idea.
He wasn't involved with another car. He just hit a pole.
I understand that. That's still an accident report. The only reason you don't call the police is because both of you were drinking.
Well, I wasn't driving the car at that time.
When you were driving the car to the barbershop, right?
Yes.
From the last bar where you dropped Mohammed off, you were driving.
Yes, I was not drunk though, Yana.
If you're not drinking, it's sort of an interesting thing. Everybody's definition of drunk is different. Your friend Mohammed said that he was the designated driver, so he was just drinking water. That's what he said.
That's what Mohammed.
Which suggests to me that we had a full day of drinking, starting at the barbershop, watching the game, from the game to 2 or 3 bars, then for a bite to eat.
No, I wasn't drinking at the barbershop. I didn't start drinking until we got to the first bar.
Okay, so now you started to drink at 6 o'clock. Now it's 10 o'clock, and you've been drinking from one place to another. I'm just saying you got behind the wheel of a car, and you had been drinking. Now, did you hit a pole?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Tony nods. Caption, coming up.
How long was he in the restroom before you realized that you had dropped your phone?
About 5 minutes.
So now he's gone in to use the restroom. You go and look for your phone. You see how easy this is, like fishing in a fish tank.
Judy and Whitney grin. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Daniel and Tony.
Daniel Gray has accused his former friend, Tony Woods, of driving drunk and wrecking his car.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Okay, first off, I ain't eat no hot dogs. so I never.
You didn't what?
I never had a hot dog. Never ate a
Okay,
hot dog.
strike the hot dog.
No hot dog.
Whitney,
It's true.
he denies the
Record, I
hot
didn't
dog.
eat a hot dog either.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Denies the hot dog.
Okay, so for what happened after they got in the car? First, they were very drunk.
Just a second. You don't have to tell me. All three of you were drunk.
I wasn't drunk yet.
Okay. By the time the car got trashed, you were drunk. Let me tell you what I believe,
Okay.
so that you can pick it up from there.
Okay.
I believe that Mohammed was dropped off at the last bar. So there came a time at the end of the evening when it was just the two of you. I don't know who's driving, I don't know who was the passenger, but I believe that they dropped him off, because otherwise Mohammed, who appears here as a witness today, would have had a better story, because he says, I don't know what happened afterwards, because I wasn't there. So there was a time at the end of the evening that just the two of you were in the car.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
Okay, can I tell you before that part, though? Because he was driving down the wrong way of the street.
But there's no question in my mind he shouldn't have been behind the wheel of a car.
And that's when I lost my phone and my wallet, and we were wrestling in the street. He actually attacked me.
Let's move forward.
Okay.
There came a time when just the two of you were in the car.
Okay.
When was that?
Well, we were sitting in front of a bar that we were about to go to. I got out the car, and I dropped my phone. At that time, I asked him to take me back to get
No. You dropped your phone. And you didn't know you dropped your phone, because if you knew you dropped your phone, you would have picked it up.
Right, correct.
Right. So then you got back into the car. Driver's seat or passenger seat?
I was in the passenger seat.
And Mr. Gray was driving?
Yes.
And Mr. Mohammed was at the bar?
Yes, he was with a friend.
He had gone to the bar, so it was the two of you. You're in the passenger seat, he's driving, and he's drunk.
Yes.
And you went back to the barber shop for him to use the restroom. Just follow, because there was a time when you wanted to go back to look for your dropped phone. Do you understand?
Correct.
Now, he goes back to the barber shop. How long was he in the restroom before you realized that you had dropped your phone?
About 5 minutes.
And you realized that you had dropped your phone because you tried to make a call while you were waiting for him.
Correct. And it was snow on the ground, correct.
And it was snowing, and he didn't have a Frankfurter.
Yes.
So now he's gone in to use the restroom. You go and look for your phone. You see how easy this is, like, it's like fishing in a fish tank. You went inside, and what did you do when you went inside, when you realized that you had lost your phone?
I told him, let's go get my phone, and he drove us and went and got the phone.
Okay, so he came out of the restroom. You got back into the passenger seat of the car.
Correct.
And he got into the driver's seat of the car.
Correct.
And what happened?
Then we called Mohammed to try to meet back up with him after we got my phone. And then...
No. Step. Slowly he turned. Step by step. Inch by inch. Now you're in the car, on your way back to the bar where Mohammed is to look for your phone.
I got drunk. I think I blacked out after that point.
Not according to your answer. According to your answer, you knew exactly what happened, sir. What do you mean you blacked out? You signed a sworn statement.
I know we got the phone. I got the phone back.
Well, I know you got the phone, so you had to have driven back there successfully to get the phone.
Yes.
And is it at that point that you get back into the car and you blacked out?
No, it was just I got really drunk after getting my phone. Like after that, I just...
You don't remember what happened?
I remember getting my phone and being drunk. Like, I got my phone.
Okie dokie, there we go. Okay, you were all drunk. As a matter of fact, I have zero sympathy for any of you getting behind the wheel of a car. Okay, the car was damaged.
Yes, I have.
And so what you want me to believe, that you blame him, and I could understand that because I don't know how drunk you actually were, whether or not you blame him for your wrecked car because you were driving the car back to find his phone, and it wouldn't have been in that problem had he not dropped his phone out of the car, or whether he was actually driving the car drunk. It's actually irrelevant to me. You were both driving drunk. You have a bill to fix the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
Daniel hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
And I have pictures of the accident.
Okay,
as
so,
well.
yeah, so the bill was $5,500. And you had insurance?
Yes.
And the insurance paid for how much?
I had no-fault insurance.
So you didn't have...
I didn't have collision.
Okay. You didn't have collision, so you had to pay $5,500, which you paid.
Yeah.
Divide that by 2.
$27.50.
That's what I thought. So, Mr. Gray, there are some lessons that you learn, and I don't know whether other courts would agree. I have to make a determination as to credibility, and quite frankly, I can't determine between two drunks who's telling me the truth. Because on the 27th of November, both of you were in no condition to drive a car. And I can't tell who actually drove the car at the time that it was wrecked. But I do know that you drove the car from a club to your barbershop, and that neither one of you stayed at the scene, called the police, because both of you were inebriated and knew that either one or both of you were going to get busted for a DUI because you both drove the car that evening. What?
Ma'am, I was not drunk at the time that this happened. I did go to the bars, but I wasn't in the bars drinking. That I had one beer.
2750, we're done.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Daniel, then Tony.
I feel like he kind of got the story wrong because I wasn't drunk, but
I think that was very fair. I feel like, the judge was very reasonable.
I had one beer that day, but I mean, there's a limit to like being drunk in the state of Michigan.
It was just one of those drunk things, but we got it taken care of.
I wanted to make him look like my vehicle.
It was very snowy outside, and something happened, and I don't remember.
I didn't do anything. I just called a tow truck and tried to get the situation solved.
And I'm very happy to get this case behind me.
Satisfied I got something out of the deal.
I don't know. Hopefully we can get back to being friends. He's a good guy.
Judy and Sarah.
I'm surprised you gave them anything. Unclean hands don't deserve money from this court, as we've seen time and again. So I'm surprised, really, that you gave him even half of what he was asking, because you couldn't tell which one of them was credible, if either of them were credible. And so what are you supposed to do? I mean, I guess splitting it down the middle was, I understand why you made your judgment, but I would have taught him a lesson, given him nothing.
Interesting.
Drunk driving is nothing to play around with.
Yeah, okay.
Very serious.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad in the DNA it's getting tougher rather than softer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. You may be right. You may be right. I just felt that they were both at fault, and either you leave the parties where they are, or you say both of you have to hurt a little.
Yep. I understand.
But I actually understand your position and respect it.
Thank you.
Want justice? Go to Judy.
You were making a movie.
Yes, Your Honor. We made a job for him. This kid couldn't even order pizza, Your Honor.
But you have to pay him. Even if he's doing a terrible job, you still have to pay him. Give me a break. All I know is I came to work today. I expect to be paid.
This is Judy
Courtroom.
Christian Sanchez is suing his former employer, Juan Vasquez, for unpaid work and defamation of character.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2007, Sanchez versus Vasquez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sanchez, how old are you, sir?
I'm 26 years old.
And what is your educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree in film that I got from Full Sail University. I'm currently...
Slowly.
I'm sorry.
You have a bachelor's degree from?
Full Sail University.
Where is that?
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, Florida. That I can hear. You have to understand, when you're dealing with someone of my age, you have to sort of factor that into your speech. People who are 26 may be able to follow you. I'm senior. I need people to speak slowly so that I can follow them.
I got you.
So you got a bachelor's degree from a university in Florida and graduated when?
I graduated in 2018.
And from there, what kind of work did you do?
From there, I jumped around a little bit. I did
Okay,
work...
you jumped around. Did your family live in Florida?
No, ma'am.
Where do they live?
They live in Beaumont, Texas.
Did you live with them at all in Beaumont?
No, ma'am.
After college?
Not until the pandemic.
Okay. Well, the pandemic was in 2020.
Yes.
So you graduated in June of 2018, and then the pandemic started on or about March of 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
And in March of 2020, you went home to your parents' house.
Yes.
And you stayed there until when?
I'm still currently there. I started going back to school, actually.
When did you start going back to school?
My first classes were in December of last year.
In Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So you actually had a year and a half out of school when you were hopping around.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to tell me who you worked for in that year and a half.
I was an intern on a documentary.
Okay, and when was that?
That was about a few months after I graduated.
So maybe September, October?
Yeah, probably around there. I did a few independent films
Okay, and what kind of work did you do for them?
Just kind of depended what they needed. It was mostly
Like a
PA
PA?
stuff. Yeah.
Like a PA. And for that work, were you paid as a PA?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were you paid as a PA?
They paid me $75 a day.
Pay you in cash?
They paid me in cash.
Okay, so you did those couple of little projects, and then what?
I was also waiting tables at the time.
Okay, well, you got to eat.
Right. After the pandemic hit, my lease was up. I moved back home. Decided I would go back to school to get a tech job. I'm going for cybersecurity right now. I had heard through a family friend.
Okay, let's stop there. This case is, I don't think so difficult, but relatively interesting for me because we don't get them all the time. Mr. Vasquez, you were making a movie.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this the first movie you ever made?
No, Your Honor.
How many movies have you made?
This was film number 5 for me. Written, directed, produced.
Is it a fiction piece or a documentary?
It's actually based on a true story.
So it's a docudrama.
Correct, yes.
See that? Are you impressed with that? There you go, a docudrama. How long a film?
90 to 100 minutes. We're still in post, still editing. So
Keep your voice up. Approximately how long?
100 minutes.
What was your budget?
It's still in
About what was your budget? Then you're going to tell me where you got the financing.
roughly 120,000.
Where did you get the money from?
A lot of it was my money and other producers.
How much did you put in?
Over 80,000.
And you've got other people in for about 40.
Yeah.
Did you make money on your other films?
I have, yes, in the past.
Okay, this is what the case is about. Mr. Sanchez says that he was hired by your company. And he was hired by your company to work on this last film that you were doing. And it was a paying job. And at the end of the period, he was not paid. And in addition, he says that when he complained about not being paid, you put out there on social media that you weren't paying him because he was on drugs. Is that what the case is basically about?
Basically. It wasn't on social media. It was through text messages. He accused me of it, but...
Text messages?
Yes.
Well, that to me is almost social media. If it doesn't come to me by the U.S. Postal Service, I call it social media. I know. Okay. Did you answer an ad for this job?
No, I heard about it through a family friend.
And when did you meet Mr. Vasquez for the first time?
We didn't actually meet face-to-face until about Saturday, July 10th, 2021.
Did you communicate via text messages or
Yes, ma'am.
emails? Well, when was the first either text message or email?
The first text message was on Monday, the 28th, 2021 of June.
6/28, 2021. May I see that, please?
Of course.
Christian hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
And this one, too. Sorry.
He hands another document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews a string of text messages.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. So you first met by email. You say you have one spot available for him as an internship, and then practically immediately thereafter, you say somebody's family is sick in the crew. You have a spot for him as an assistant director.
So, Your Honor.
I'm reading this. Well, you have to tell me what that means. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick and they can't do it.
Correct.
So what is an AD?
He's basically going to assist me as a director, everything from...
Assistant to the director.
Correct.
Okay. Yes. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick. So that's different from an internship.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I mean, we do have internships where people don't get paid, and then you have internships where they do get paid. Most people now pay their interns. Okay. And when you met, because clearly the last email that I just read suggests that you were approaching the door and you're 2 minutes away, and then you met the defendant. Tell me about that conversation.
Caption coming up.
The thing that I find most troubling here, actually, for the both of you, is he says that you told him not to tell the rest of the crew that he had COVID because they would freak out.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Christian and Juan.
Christian Sanchez claims filmmaker Juan Vasquez owes him for unpaid work. Juan says Christian was an unpaid intern.
Okay, and when you met, because clearly the last email that I just read suggests that you were approaching the door and you're 2 minutes away, and then you met the defendant. Tell me about that conversation.
So we met, we sat down. I kind of told him a little bit about my background, like I told you before. He kind of went over like what he was expecting me to do.
Just a second. I want you to tell me what he told you that he wanted you to do.
Managing the set, creating schedules, calling extras, making sure that they were there on time.
Is that what you told him?
Yes, basically assisting me whatever I needed.
Okay, that sounds like more than a PA.
We didn't ask for PAs. There was no intention for PAs.
But what you outlined was clearly more. What did you agree to pay him?
Never agreed to pay him anything. So
Well, how could you do that?
he was an intern. He was presented to me as an intern.
No, not after this text message. He said he was looking for an internship, and you said to him, I have a better role for you. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick. Whose family was sick? The name of the person.
I don't recall.
Okay. When you did a budget, did you have a budget for a first AD?
No, we didn't.
Careful. Did you have a budget for a first AD?
No, not that I remember. I usually don't use a first AD, so the terminology.
No. Listen, you know who produces this show? You want to be careful with what you say around people, who are buying your product.
Sure.
Right? Because you're going to be presenting them with budgets, eventually, hopefully for you. There's no question that if I got this text from you, Mr. Vasquez, I would say, oh my God, I'm going to get a different job, a better role, because he says I have a much better thing. Somebody who was supposed to do it got sick, they can't do it. That's a much different thing from what you describe as bringing me iced tea and setting up the coffee. That's a different role. What did he tell you he was going to pay you, sir?
He told me, verbally, he told me that...
Look, careful when you talk to me. At that meeting, that day, what did he tell you he was going to pay you?
$150 per day for 14 days.
How many days did you actually work on the set?
On the set, I worked 14 days.
It's a lie.
I got COVID on the last 2 days, and he asked me to work from home. And I still scheduled and did all that stuff.
I never asked him to work from home.
You got COVID the last 2 days, so you were actually there 12 days.
Physically there, but I was still working for him.
Who knows? How do I know that?
I have text.
I would like to see the work that you did from home on day 13 and 14.
1,800 for 12 days, not including.
Okay.
On those specific days, I have it on my phone. Could I pull it up?
No, I want to see what you did. If you did work, you sent emails out, you sent scheduling out, and you would probably have to have a conversation with your boss and say, I have COVID, but I'll do whatever I could do from home.
I have all of that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, if I may interject.
Yeah.
So he shows up to the set sick with COVID, gets everybody sick. I had to call the next day of filming because of that.
Are you talking about after he was there for 12 days?
Yes, I'm talking about that particular part, but
I'm talking about he was there for 12 days. He didn't have COVID for 12 days.
we don't know that.
Well, who knows that? I don't know if you have COVID.
We just got tested, Your Honor.
Who knows if you have COVID? Who knows if I have COVID? All I know is I came to work today. I expect to be paid. I wouldn't come to work if I was sick and laying in bed and feeling nauseous and...
Your Honor, if you had a remote position, that'd be different. He didn't have a remote position.
I'm not talking about his 2 days. He was there 12 days.
He did it throughout the course of the project. He was never on time.
I don't care if he was never on time. If he's never on time, sir, then you fire him.
There was days he was not on set.
Listen to me.
Okay.
If he's never on time, then you tell him don't come back after the second day. But if you let him come for 12 days and do whatever he does, I mean, Mr. Vasquez, I'm going to make this as painless for you as possible. There are some employees that I have had over the years that were terrific. Some not so terrific, some terrible. The terrible ones, who were really terrible, who I would have liked to have fired, period, I couldn't do it because of human resources.
Sure.
They have a whole protocol, volumes, like an Encyclopedia Britannica, what you have to go through to fire somebody who's not doing their job.
Right.
But you have to pay him until you can fire him. If you have him come to work, even if he's doing a terrible job, you still have to pay him. Now, if he goes home because he's sick and you're not giving him sick leave and you don't agree for him to work remotely, that's on him. Does that sound fair to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so glad. Unless, of course, you agree to have him work remotely, then you have to pay him for 14 days.
Right.
It starts right there, Your Honor, and then the next 2 days follow it.
Kevin brings Christian's phone to Judy. She reviews a string of text messages.
JV, that's you?
Yes, ma'am.
JV, that's you. So you did, in fact, confer with him from home. Tell him to order food, to picking it up. I don't care if he worked for you for a half hour. He's not your friend. The thing that I find most troubling here, actually, for the both of you, is he says that you told him not to tell the rest of the crew that he had COVID because they would freak out.
Correct.
And he didn't tell the rest of the crew
As far
that
as
he
I
had
know.
COVID. Well, you told him not to. And he said, okay. Well, you have to know, as a good citizen, that's not the right thing to do. You do understand that.
And, you know, by not having him on the set, we thought that was proper protocol.
No, you're supposed to notify people who you came into close contact with. You know, I remember they had this whole contact tracing. I know people call all the time
the
and say,
reality is, Your
we
Honor,
were out
everybody
together
that
a
was
month
on
ago.
the set.
What?
The reality is, everybody that was on the set, we did discuss the fact that he had COVID, so people knew that.
I don't care whether people knew that. It says here, I won't say anything to the rest of the crew, like you said.
Yeah, because
I
I didn't want
understand
to
that you
create
don't want everyone to freak out. I just find that troubling. In any event,
it's just
he
like
clearly
yelling bomb in an airport. You know, that would create a bigger hysteria.
Well, that's what COVID is. COVID is a bomb in an airport.
We conveyed to everybody on the set what was going on. The reality is, this man was presented as an intern, never said paid internship. Once he got on the set, he tried to strong-arm us, then demanded the money once he had all the information on the set. We didn't hire him. We didn't post a job for him. We made a job for him because a producer called me up. This is when nepotism goes bad. This kid couldn't even order pizza, Your Honor. He spent $300 at Domino's. Who spends $300 at Domino's?
Mr. Vasquez, then you fire him.
I should have
Do
fired
you
him.
understand?
I should have fired him.
Then your recourse is to fire him. And you're a little company that doesn't have a HR department. Say, you know what, what's your first name?
Christian.
Christian, you're a nice guy, but it's not working out here. We're going to pay you for 3 days because that's what you were here. Don't come back. I'm going to get somebody else.
And we should have done that, Your Honor.
But that's what you should have done.
Yes.
But that's not what you did. You continued to use whatever limited services he provided, even when he was home with COVID.
Yes.
Even when he went home with COVID, you continued to ask him to do things for your company and for the film, and that you can't do without compensating him.
Caption coming up.
You gave him a job, and if he didn't work out, say, what was the name of that woman from that show that says you're fired or something?
The weakest link.
Weakest link, that was the lady. She was terrific. Well, anyway, you say you're fired. That's easy.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Christian and Juan.
Christian Sanchez has accused his former employer, Juan Vasquez, of not paying him for 14 days of work. Juan claims Christian was incompetent and never a paid employee.
Okay, even when he went home with COVID, you continued to ask him to do things for your company and for the film, and that you can't do without compensating him. You can't. Okay, so you owe him $2,100 because I assume you paid him nothing. Now, let's get to the second part of your claim, which is defamation. That I'd like to see. I mean, if you're going to be a producer, if you're going to make films, sir, you have to understand. Say you're not working out, you're fired. Something that I would love to be able to say a lot.
I agree.
Not
I
working
should have
out, you're
fired him right away.
without
That's never-
risking my house and my car and my dog.
I was taking him on as a basically.
I don't care what you were thinking.
Producer
That's
called
not what
me,
you said.
asked me to take him on. That's why I took him on.
He actually called me and told me how
Just
great
a
of a
second.
job I was doing.
It doesn't require an answer. Okay.
And I can show the messages how he came to be on the set. He was presented.
Just a second. I don't care how he was presented to you. If your Aunt Tilly said, do me a favor, this is my godson.
It was his Aunt Tilly.
He hasn't been able to get a job since he graduated from college.
He hasn't made
He's
a job
home.
since he graduated college.
He's home in the attic of his parents' house playing the
Lives with his
guitar.
parents.
We want him to have a job. It's irrelevant. You gave him a job. And if he didn't work out, say, what was the name of that woman from that show that says you're fired or something? Well, anyway, you say you're fired. That's easy. Do we remember the name of that woman from England who had a show where she said, you're out, get out? I don't know, she was terrific. Let me see.
The weakest link.
Weakest link, that was the lady. Perfect, thank you.
And that's a direct text message to him that I never posted on social media.
Oh.
It was actually a group text.
Just a second. So, Mr. Vasquez, in here, You say to him, this is the second part of his case, which is for defamation. And that's okay. He didn't defame you.
Okay.
Sir, he said they're taking you out of the credits, but you were never promised credits.
In the contract, it says I am.
Let me see where in the contract it said you'd be in the credits. And I didn't even know there was a contract. I thought
He's
you had
also done this before.
Shh.
Kevin brings a document to Judy. She reviews it.
It says you employed him as an actor.
Your Honor, I'm signing actor agreements every day. He put that in front of me to sign. Why would I sign an actor agreement for a first AD?
Just a second. Sir, is this the agreement he put in front of you? Or did you?
I sign actor agreements every day on the...
You're a business guy.
Yeah.
I'm a business lady.
That looked like an actor agreement.
Sign
That's why I signed it.
actor agreement. That's what it says.
Yeah, he's not an actor.
Don't sign it. It says you agreed to pay him $150 a day for 4 days of shooting.
14.
14 days of shooting, and that he will be responsible for paying all the taxes on it. So he was going to be paid in
I didn't write that out, Your Honor.
Kevin, would you show this to him, please, and see if he can identify that as his signature? I'm going to check here to see if it's his signature. It looks like his signature to me. Mr. Vasquez, it appears to be the same signature that you used to sign the answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and this says, actor shall receive a credit for acting in the film. Well, that's ridiculous. You didn't act in the film, right?
No, ma'am.
Well, we're going to strike that out because you can't perform that because you didn't act in the movie. Do you understand?
I understand, ma'am.
Okay, very good. And it's clear that whatever this says, based upon this, if you delete one part of a contract, let me see if I remember, if part of a contract, Sarah, is impossible to perform,
Then it's not fully integrated.
and one party acts on that contract, and you can retain part of the contract because of services that were rendered pursuant to the contract, you can eliminate one part.
Yes.
So I can eliminate the actor part of getting credit. So you're not getting credit on this, you're entitled to the $150 a day. As far as the defamation is concerned, sir, what he said in here was clear. He said he was told by someone else, which is very possible. And the only thing that you can produce for me today is this fellow who said you tried to put together a little bit of a drug transaction. Are you?
No.
Well, then you're irrelevant. You can produce, because if he says, told me, then he's not saying you did this. He put it in a text to you that this is what he was told.
retaliation whenever I served him the night before. The very next morning, he sent me that text message.
I don't care. I don't care. He's not a great businessman. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. Thank you very much. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Christian then won.
I thought she was very fair. I'm really, really happy with how the judgment came out.
He was an intern. Interns aren't paid. It never said paid internship.
He tried to avoid signing a contract at first.
The reality is, with a budget, we would love to pay the kid, but he cost us more money than he was actually worth.
He lies constantly. Nothing's ever his fault. He always makes up a new scenario in which he's the victim.
He couldn't even order pizza. I mean, who spends $300 at Domino's?
Handed me the actor's agreement, told me to sign it.
No more nepotism. If I don't know him, I haven't vetted him. I don't want them on the project.
A little bit weird, but it had everything.
And this kid is going to go be a cybersecurity guy.
Always save your receipts, dude. Always just keep any sort of communications, even if it's a phone call, send a text or an email that just recaps what you said.
I was so happy to vent for a moment on the current inability to fire inept people and to fire people who aren't doing their job, which has been getting worse over the last quarter century. I actually believe that HR is a vital service for people who are unjustly, based on something other than their performance, treated badly by an employer. Mm-hmm. And harassment in the workplace, I think, is important. Anyway, I got that out of my system. The contract.
Yeah, the contract. I think it was unenforceable to begin because I think the form was clearly erroneous. It wasn't the proper form. He wasn't an actor. Both of them knew he wasn't an actor. Right. However, it was signed by both parties, and there was substantial performance on behalf of the plaintiff by showing up to work every day, performing his duties under the contract. So as soon as he substantially performed the contract, the defendant can't then claim it's unenforceable.
First of all, because he's not an actor.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
The Judy Justice logo appears.
Want justice? Go to...
He sells reticulated pythons.
I find them a little bit squirmy. What I want to see is when you purchase these two snakes.
I don't have it, Your Honor.
Well, get it. What do you mean you don't have it? I'm going to get this lovely thing out of the courtroom as quickly as I possibly can.
This is Judy Gendra-Duenas. He's suing exotic pet store owner Brian Chow for money from a snake breeding business.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case number 212, Duenas versus Cho.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Duenas, it looks to me from your papers that you decided to go into a business with someone.
Yes.
With whom?
With the defendant, Brian Chow.
And you know him how?
He's a family friend.
And you know what his business is?
Yes.
What is his business?
He currently sells reticulated pythons, snakes, exotic animals, monitors, lizards.
And you like those things?
My ex-boyfriend did.
Did you?
I was more for the investment part.
Okay.
I was the investor at the time.
At the time you reached out to this family friend who was in the exotic snake business, your idea was to create a business.
No, Your Honor. It was actually the defendant's idea.
I don't care whose idea it was. Your idea was to create a business with your ex-boyfriend.
I agreed to the business, but it wasn't our idea.
Whether you agreed to the business or not, you invested money in the business.
Yes.
Which means that unless there's something wrong with you, and I see that there is not, you wanted to go into business with the defendant.
Yes.
So let's be easy.
Okay.
And at the time that you wanted to go into business with the defendant, I'll get to what the nature of that business was in a second. I know it had something to do with that wonderful looking snake. You had a boyfriend.
Yes.
And the boyfriend liked snakes.
Yes.
And you went along with the ride.
Yes.
What month and year were you still with the boyfriend when you decided to go into the business, which you will explain to me?
Back in November of 2019.
So right before COVID.
Yes.
What was your boyfriend doing at the time?
He was working at an airport.
And he and Mr. Cho were friends?
Yes.
How long had you known him?
2-3 weeks, Your Honor.
Where did you meet him?
He came into my store and acquired
I didn't ask you anything. That's how you met him?
Yes.
I'm going to get through this case and get this lovely thing out of the courtroom as quickly as I possibly can. Wow. Some people find them exotic and gorgeous. I find them a little bit squirmy. So in November 2019, boyfriend and you decided to go into the business. Explain the business that you invested in.
I invested on 5 reticulated pythons, 1 male and 4 females. That was the original deal.
And what were you going to do with them?
Mr. Brian Chow was going to have it in his shop, and together we were going to breed them and make a profit out of them.
So the intention was never for you to take these pythons to your residence?
No.
And you understood that? No.
They're buying the snake, Your Honor.
Okay. How much were the 5 snakes?
In total, it was $10,000, plus the feeding and the cages that he claimed that the snakes needed.
Was it your agreement that for $10,000, Ms. Duenas and the boyfriend were going to buy 1 male snake and 4 females?
They decided to buy 2 snakes.
Well, when was that decision made, sir?
A week after I met him, because
When you went into the shop, did you ultimately decide on 1 male, 1 female?
No, so how it is, Your Honor, is he knew my ex-boyfriend prior to the business 5 years ago. He sold him a exotic Australian monitor lizard.
Okay, what I want you to tell me is, did there come a time when the arrangement changed, so instead of 1 male and 4 females, you were supposed to get 1 male and 1 female?
No, Your Honor. The whole way, it was supposed to be 1 male and 4 females.
Do you have any sort of a receipt for that?
We have Instagram conversations.
Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Cassandra hands a laptop to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews a message thread on the computer.
1 male, 4 females. The guy's asking $15,000 for all, and then he says, I'll drop it to 12. Then somebody, I don't have 12 now. I just spent a lot on my monitor. Let's go the rest. Okay, so he said, I don't have that money now. He says, I'm getting 16 lace monitors. You remember that discussion? And then that's a big investment for me right now. I'm saving up to get a house. but I'm down to breed my monitor with any of your monitors. Keep going. So far, I don't have a contract. And then somebody says, no, you pay half and I pay half. Who wrote that?
He did.
No, you pay half and I pay half. Then you say 6,000. I'm short 6,000. I want to get them, but I'm low on cash till next month. And that's from you. That's from the reptile.
I had to see it, Your Honor.
Okay. If I invest half with you, what will be my return and in how long? Think about it. That's will be the baby's mix price. JTK Reptiles, that's you. Somebody's on their way. That's you and your boyfriend?
Yes. We were on our way to give him the money.
And how much money were you going to give him?
We gave him the first time $6,000 and then $4,000, a total of $10,000.
You received that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what did you purchase with the $10,000?
If you look at the message from there, what she showed you is they pay half of the 5 snake. Means they get 2 of the snake, and I get 2 of the snake. They've been lying to you guys since day one. They want to purchase 2 snake. Then I told them, like, if you look at the message, I can use my male to breed it to your female. It's an investment for you guys, not for us. It's no us. It's not with them at all.
Mr. Cho, were they supposed to take possession of the snakes?
They're supposed to pick up the snake. That's why they come to the store with it.
Which snakes were they supposed to take possession of?
One right here and one out there.
Is that a male or a female?
This is the female.
Has she had babies yet?
No, I don't breed her because she don't belong to me.
And how old is she?
Right now, she should be about 6 years old, going 7.
How long do they live?
Over 30 to 40 years, depends on how you take care of them, like I take care of them.
And there's another one outside the courtroom that's the same as this one. Also a female?
Yes.
And you gave them the $10,000. He acknowledges the $10,000. So we have a verbal contract that you were going to pay for some snakes. He was going to order the snakes for you, which he did. And that was accomplished, and the payment for the snakes was done on what date, the first payment?
Approximately in November of 2019.
And when was the next $4,000 payment?
The same month, I would say like a week.
Good. And when did you order the snakes, Mr. Chow?
Right after I get yeah, because I cannot just acquire the animal without the payment.
Okay, so now you've got the payment and you order the animals.
Yes.
On what date do they arrive?
2 days after, they're FedEx delivered to my shop.
And when did you notify the plaintiff that they were there?
The day that they came, I tell them the snake is
So it was also in November, sometime in November. And when did they arrive?
The snake arrived?
No. The plaintiff and the boyfriend.
They arrived a week after I notify the boyfriend.
Okay. Now, Ms. Duenas, a week later you went to the shop. And what happened when you went to the shop? Now he's got $10,000 and he's got 2 snakes.
I just want to clarify, Your Honor, that we even gave him money for the tanks because here in the conversations it says that he can't continue having them in tubs. So he needs us to give him money to invest to buy the tanks to house the snakes. So our original plan was for him to keep the snakes because he has the shop. We, at the time, lived in an apartment. He was well aware of this, that we couldn't have big snakes in our apartment.
He says no, you say yes. I'm not sure how I can resolve that. I'm trying to simplify this contract.
Cassandra nods. Caption coming up.
And you said you recorded all this?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Video footage.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? He owes me money.
I don't care. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out.
Judy's eyes widen. Cassandra's eyes fill with tears. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Cassandra and Brian.
Cassandra Duenas claims exotic pet store owner Brian Chow owes her money for a snake breeding business. Brian says Cassandra changed her mind about the business after he purchased the snakes.
Okay, part of the contract was fulfilled because you paid him. Then he ordered the snakes. The second part was fulfilled. I want you to tell me what happened when you went to see the snakes. You say to see them. He says to pick them up a week later.
So when we went to the shop,
Who went?
led us to
Who went?
My ex-boyfriend and I. What led us to there is because after he obtained the snakes, He was not reaching out back to us. He was
Just a week later.
Yes.
You went to the shop. He notified you that the snakes were there. There's no question about that. Now, you went to the shop for what purpose?
Because he switched it and then he said it was 2 snakes when originally the plan was 1 male and 4 females. That 1 male was going to breed with the 4. So right out the back, he lied to us what our agreement was here, that he clearly texted us and said 4 males and 1 female. So it was 5 snakes. So we went to the shop.
Yeah, but there was a problem there with pricing. In the Instagram messages, a suggestion, because some of the texts were unavailable. He said originally they were $15,000. And then there was some discussion of $12,000. And then there was some discussion of $6,000. He says he'll pay half and you pay half. And there, I can imagine that there was some sort of an agreement for you to keep the snakes if you were going to pay half. You were always supposed to give them the snakes. Why would you pay half?
Then they get the 2 of the snake, and I get the 2 of the other snake. It's 5 of them. And the one that we're gonna pretty much, they can have it if they want it, or I can use it when I need it.
You mean the male?
Yes.
So that was the business. Anyway, you went there, and what happened?
So I went in recording. My ex-boyfriend told me, hey, record the
Don't tell me what your ex-boyfriend told you.
Okay.
Just tell me you went in and what happened.
We went in there and we asked him, hey, we agreed on 5 snakes. Now you switched up and you said now it's 2 snakes. First you told us it was 15,000, then 12,000. You were playing games with us the whole time. And at this point, after a week later that he said that he got the snakes, then he told us it was 2 snakes. At that point, we were upset because we had planned and we had counted with 5 snakes. That's why we gave him that ridiculous amount of money. And basically, we didn't want nothing else to do with him. We wanted our money back. And that's what we went for, our money back.
Just a second. Yes. So you walked in wanting your money back?
Yes.
Do you have any text messages, Instagram messages, suggesting that before you got there, you had said to him, we changed our mind, we don't want to be in business with you, we want our money back?
No.
Nothing?
No. He wasn't reaching out, sorry, Your Honor, he wasn't reaching out to us. He was sending him video calls, he was calling him through text message, my ex-boyfriend.
I don't care. You paid the money, he got snakes. The question is, you think there's supposed to be more than 2? He says 2. More were more money. So the ultimate agreement was for 2. So what happened when you went there? You're there with your boyfriend.
Yes.
And you say, I want my money back. And he says?
He says, I don't have the money here. I have 2 snakes here.
Are you telling me that he didn't call you and say your snakes are in? Is that what you're suggesting? Do you have an invoice for these snakes, Mr. Chow?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the invoice for the snakes.
Brian hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
By the way, your boyfriend has other of these exotic creatures, is that right?
To the people that I get them.
What kind of exotic creatures does he have?
One that he sold him, an Australian water monitor from the Philippines.
And?
He has 2 rhino iguanas, a pair. He has a, I don't know the name, but it changes colors.
Judy reviews the document.
Mr. Chow?
Yes.
This is a wire transfer May 24th, 2018. And the date of this wire transfer is August of 2018.
And those are for the lace monitor that
Are these lace monitors?
Yes.
Sorry, Your Honor, these are not lace monitors. These are reticulated pythons. These are not monitors. Monitors are lizards. These are snakes.
Lace monitor bell face.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that's not that.
No, Your Honor.
Well, these are useless.
Yes, but that's connected to the rest of what they did.
What does it have to do with these 2 snakes? What I want to see is when you purchased these 2 snakes.
Yeah, I don't have it, Your Honor.
Well, get it. What do you mean you don't have it?
I left it at home. I'm so sorry.
Well, what'd you bring these for?
Those are the time that they both got arrested when they went to my shop.
Yeah, but you now have those back, right?
Yes.
You have those back. So if you had to take documents, why didn't you take the documents for the snakes in question? The lace monitor lizards aren't in question. You have them back. They may have taken them. They were arrested, and you finally got them back. So I don't understand that.
I just mistaken grabbed the wrong paper.
Well, Mr. Chow, do you deal with these people regularly, that you buy snakes from them regularly?
Not really. It depends on the size of the animal and depends what kind of animal.
Well, you have the date of purchase someplace, Mr. Chow, and I don't want you to waste my time.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's why I just said I don't have it, Your Honor.
Did they purchase that kind of snake?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
It was 5 snakes, Your Honor.
Don't give me 5. That type of snake.
Oh, yes, the reticulated python, yes.
And the one that's outside is the same, correct?
Yes.
And you did not purchase baby snakes.
No.
You wanted full-grown snakes because they were a business. You wanted them able to be breeding. Okay. Should have brought the paperwork. And you went in there that day in November because you had changed your mind.
Yes, and on top, yes.
Because you had changed your mind.
Yes.
That's the answer. You had changed your mind. You can give me a whole bunch of excuses, and you told him you changed your mind, you want your money back. And he said no, because I ordered the snakes, and I got them in, and they're yours. Contract is completed. I'm merely holding your property. And then there was a kerfuffle. And tell me about the kerfuffle.
The issue was that it was going back to what I was saying is, then we asked him as well, can we have like receipt? How much did you really pay for them?
No, that's not your business. That's not your business, how much you really paid for them. He made a deal, you paid him. If he got them for $2,000 and you paid him $10,000, that's nothing. The kerfuffle, let's draw this down to its most simple English. You wanted your money back and you wanted to cancel this contract.
Yes, it's just when we arrived, those weren't the snakes that we ordered. These were the breed of it, is the ones that he was putting here on Instagram, which I have, which is not those. So we ordered something and we got something else. So
is what you're telling me, you went there to pick up your, because now it's changed. You went there to pick up your snakes. When you got there, they turned out to be a different...
It's breed, it's like the...
Pythons, right?
Yes.
They're pythons, but it was a different kind of python. Now you're telling me because it was a different python, you wanted your money back.
Yes, because it wasn't what we paid for. It's like we paid for a Ferrari and we got a Toyota, basically. It's basically
You know nothing about pythons, so you're taking your cues from your boyfriend because that's his strong suit. Is it yours as well?
No, I'm just the investor.
Right. So your boyfriend had a conversation with him and said, those aren't the snakes that I ordered.
Yes.
Okay. And I want my money back.
Yes.
And you said you recorded all this.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Brian shakes his head. Caption coming up.
And when he broke the glass, where did he take them?
He put it in a bin.
And is that you carrying them out?
Yes, and that's the reason why I was charged with the robbery, just because I walked out with the item.
That's fine. That's a co-conspirator.
Cassandra's eyes fill with tears. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Cassandra and Brian.
Cassandra Duenas is accusing exotic pet store owner Brian Chow of wrongfully keeping money for a snake breeding business. Brian says he fulfilled their agreement and claims Cassandra stole property from his store.
And you said you recorded all this?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. You just press play.
Which one?
Oh, right here. And then you press that.
This one?
Yes.
Kevin brings a laptop to Judy.
Okay.
Ready?
Subtitles. So you guys want to do the money then?
Yeah. The 10,180 in total, and then money on top of that for lending me the money and everything.
I didn't see that coming. Yeah, because we didn't see this coming. You just kept on giving us a runaround and a runaround. Oh, no, what?
About the mail. Remember that?
No, that's why I'm waiting for the mail to be delivered. I don't have the mail.
Yeah, but remember you had told us that the guy had it because he had to leave and he had to cut out because he has surgery and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We gave you the money right there and then. You don't understand what mission we had to go
I
through.
didn't know. I don't mind getting you guys your money back, but I don't have cash right now. You guys caught me by surprise.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to do it today though. Like we need our money today.
If you want it right now, I don't have it.
We told you we want to do business correct, and you just keep on giving us another day and another day.
You told us as soon as we give you the money, the snake was gonna be here.
Yeah, it's not about me, it's the guy. It's not me. I'm just buying the snake from a different guy.
And then another thing where you messed up, you said 5 snakes for $6,000, and you come at me with 4 and you wasted my money.
Yeah, and I told you that he gave me only 4 snake, the big giant. Yeah, and why would you waste money if I told you to get the 5 snakes? If you worry about the last one, I can pay for it. It's a meal that we don't need. But I have to do all this, so I have to get like this for you to do that? No, bro. How can I trust you now? Bro, the 4 snake is right here. I'm gonna go get something. What's wrong with you, bro? I'm just asking you. Let's talk. No, we're not gonna talk. I told you don't with me. I don't talk with you, bro. Dog. Why? What's wrong?
Because we gave you a lot of money. We're talking about over $10,000, and you're just giving us the runaround. First, you told us 5 snakes. This is what we can do. I'll take, and when you get the money, I'll give it back. Yeah, female too. Oh. No. Oh, no? All right, well. Come on, bro. You're looking at a 15 grand. I told you don't play with me. I don't play with you. You don't even have the money right now. Open them up, man. I got the half of the money. Open them up. I'm trying to talk to you, bro. No, there's no more talking because we gave you the money right here and then. That's unprofessional. You're trying to scam us, and you don't do that to people like that. I didn't. How did I scam you? Open it up before I open it. You're telling me that you don't have the money. I have half of the money because I'm waiting for the snake. Bro, if you guys gonna get arrested. There's no arrested. No, we're just getting what you took from us. Over $10,000. I'm trying to talk to you. You're gonna open it. I'm trying to talk to you. No, we tried to talk to you. You're telling us you're gonna have the money. I have everything in video. I don't care. You can record me, bro. All right, so are you gonna open it? You don't play with people's money. You can call whoever you want. You owe me over $15,000. This is 15 grand. We don't care. Can you call a cop, please? No. All right, watch out. Back away.
Cassandra's ex-boyfriend smashes a glass cage.
I told you, don't play with my money.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? He owes me money.
I don't care. Get out.
Subtitles. He owes us money. Subtitles. They're gonna deal with that with the police.
Now I'll play that video, please.
Video footage of Cassandra's ex-boyfriend reaching into a glass cage.
That's your boyfriend breaking into the... Yes. And when he broke the glass and took out whatever lizards he took out with him, where did he take them? You were still with him?
Yes, he put it in a bin.
And is that you carrying them out?
Yes, and that's the reason why I was charged with the robbery, just because I walked out with the item.
That's all right. That's fine. That's a co-conspirator. Ultimately, the lizards that you took were returned to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it seems, Mr. Chow, at the beginning of this case, I must acknowledge to you that I was sympathetic to your position, that they had ordered snakes. You ordered them, you got them.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then the contract is completed. Uncross your arms.
No, I'm so sorry.
But it's clear from the tape that the plaintiff played for me that you acknowledged that you did not fulfill your end of the contract, that you were blaming your inability to fulfill your end of the contract on some third party. Is that what I heard in the tape? I mean, you know, my hearing's not really acute, but that's what you said. I have no control. I can give you back half your money, but I can't give you back all your money. So the contract was not complete.
It was complete because they supposed to get only 2 snakes.
I didn't see anywhere where it says just 2 snakes. There was a whole bunch of conversation there about the male snake, and you were supposed to deliver to them the male snake. And you said, I don't have that money now, but I can get that money for you. I can give you the first money. I don't have the second money. It was clear that the contract was not complete unless you have something to show me that it was. But what I heard, it was not. That doesn't mean that Ms. Duenas has the right to break your property and to steal property that belongs to you. What they do is they come into a court and say, you have my money. The contract was not fulfilled. I want my money back. That's what you do. Are you in the business of breeding snakes for your store?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if we were to go on the internet now,
Yes, Your Honor.
how much would one of those snakes, which is 6 or 7 years old, according to you, sell for?
Right now, this size, you're looking at it about 6,000 to 7,000 each one.
But if you trolled the internet of people who actually like those creatures in their house, for whatever reason, if you put up that snake on the internet for sale, how fast would it take you to sell it?
I'll say like about a month and a half.
They're rare.
Yes.
That right? That's what you're saying.
It's rare and is just not a lot of people will acquire that much money.
Even though they can sell the babies. And how many babies do they have?
In a year, they can do from 30 to 50.
And each one of the 30 to 50, you can sell for $3,500.
Yes.
I suggest you do that. She gets her $10,000 back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Cassandra, then Brian.
I'm very happy, and I'm happy that she was able to see herself that the defendant got caught multiple lies.
They're just a customer.
He wasn't truthful since the beginning. Ever since we invested.
They bought a snake. I would want to give their snake, but they don't want to take it.
And it's very sad how nowadays you can't trust in anybody.
Sarah and Judy.
I think one great lesson that a lot of people can take away from that is you have to know the business that you're investing in. I can appreciate she was sort of doing it for her boyfriend and he had the knowledge about the exotic animals, but that's her money at the end of the day. And if you're going to put your own hard-earned money on the line, it should be a business that you at least put in the time to learn about.
Understand.
Exactly. So that you don't have to rely on somebody else to make the right decisions.
Who's going to be gone tomorrow?
Exactly. Exactly.
And your
who
money
potentially could, and then you're left on your own, having to sue and navigate a field that you really know nothing about.
Smart. And it was also an example of a contract that was not fully executed. I actually thought when I started the case that there was an offer, an acceptance, you performed, paid the money, got the snakes, and then you can't change your mind. Once you get it, you say, well, I changed my mind, but that's not what happened.
Nope.
And her video demonstrated that that's not what happened because Mr. Chow started to waft. Well, it's not my fault I don't have your mail. It's another guy, and I would give it to you, but I can't give it to you as soon as I get it, you know.
Yeah.
So he did not deliver on the contract. So I had very little compulsion other than to say, you don't have to take the snake and you get your money back.
Yeah.
Anyway, done. And the snake is gone.
Left the building.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.
You hit the plaintiff's parked car.
Yes, ma'am.
So right on...
Were you there?
No, ma'am.
Sit down. You were approaching an intersection.
I passed this vehicle and everything.
You weren't there. You can leave.
This is Judy Justice is suing his neighbors, John and Heather Gilbert, for truck damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judy.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case 2095, Gonzalez versus Gilbert.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judy turns to Bobby.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am.
You're seeking substantial amount of money to refurbish your car after it was hit by the defendant's car while your car was parked.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendants are seeking the same amount of money because they say that despite the fact that one of them did in fact hit your parked car, it was your fault. That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who was driving?
I was driving.
Okay. Mr. Gilbert, on what date did this incident happen?
February 3rd,
What time?
about 5:30 in the morning.
Who was in the car with you?
Nobody. I was by myself. I was going to pick up my son
You were going to pick up your son from where?
from his mother's house to take him to school.
And where does he go to school that he has to be there at 5:30 in the morning?
He doesn't have to be there at 5:30. I have to leave at 5:30 to get him there by 7.
Do you take him to school every day?
No.
What was different about February 3rd?
His mother, stepfather, and the rest of their family was out of town. They had asked me to take him to school that day.
Just for that one day?
Yep.
Yep is not an answer.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
is an
Your Honor.
answer. Okay, so it's about 5:30 in the morning, and?
I left my house. It was
Look at me.
raining. It was cold. It's pretty much the same route I take every day, not at that same time. I was approaching a stop sign at an intersection by the plaintiff's house, and I seen, I guess, either a reflection or what I thought were lights headed in my direction. So I swerved. And
Okay, you're still traveling, so you're moving. Does somebody have a diagram of where this happened? There it is. Okay. You were approaching a stop sign.
yeah, I was approaching an intersection.
So right on...
Were you there?
No, ma'am.
Sit down.
Yes, ma'am.
Heather sits.
You were approaching an intersection.
Yeah.
It's a two-way road.
Yeah.
And it looks to me from that, is that an accurate representation?
Yeah, except for there was another vehicle on the other side of the road.
Okay, but it looks to me that you're traveling sort of in the middle of the road.
Yeah, it floods.
Okay, and a car is coming from something. You're not sure what.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what. It
We're
was
not sure what.
And I swerved. I
And
just got over to the proper side of the road.
And your car swerved, and when your car swerved, it hit that blue car that's sitting there. That's the plaintiff's car that was sitting in front of his house. Is not an
Yes, ma'am.
answer. Yes. Okay. Now, do you want to tell me what you did next?
I went through the intersection, turned around to follow what I thought might have been a vehicle headed my direction. And when I didn't see a vehicle, I took my vehicle home. I parked it. I got my insurance information, my driver's license, and I walked back to his house to trade insurance information with him.
Okay. You have a video of this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
From where?
From my surveillance cameras.
Is it set up for me to watch it
Yes,
here?
ma'am. Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm ready. That's your car, sir?
Yes.
Okay, let's see that again.
Footage of a collision.
Notice how the truck is covered.
Okay, so you hit the plaintiff's car hard enough to push it up on the curb.
Speed limit is 30 miles an hour.
I've just asked you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It looks as if you hit it hard enough to push it up on the curb.
Yes, I did.
But you told me a moment ago, Mr. Gilbert, and you just piped in that the speed limit there is 30 miles an hour. You said you were slowing down for a stop sign.
I said I was approaching a stop sign.
Well, when you're approaching a stop sign, you don't approach a stop sign at 30 miles an hour, especially if it's in a neighborhood that you've been in. But according to you, you drive that neighborhood regularly.
Yep.
However, not at that time. That's what you said.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you are approaching a stop sign, when I approach a stop sign, and if I know there's a stop sign there, I start applying my brakes a little bit before. Now, I do drive with some people who sort of like to play chicky with a stop sign, you know. Maybe the stop sign is going to move. Maybe it's going to become a welcome mat. So they wait until they get right up to it and put their brakes on. But that's not what you told me you did.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So now I'm going to say, if you were going very slowly, sir, approaching a stop sign, you wouldn't have hit his car with such force that you push him up on the curb. Okay. Your defense is to this action, as I said, that he was parked and he had this car that was covered and it was parked facing the wrong direction, which is totally irrelevant as to was facing the wrong
according to
direction.
Texas state
It
law.
was on. It's covered over, so you don't know which direction it was facing in. Certainly, the light wasn't on it. If you're
I've passed this.
I didn't ask you for anything. You weren't there.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't there.
Yes, ma'am, but
She lives in the neighborhood. She drives by it every day.
For
Just a
30
second.
years.
What do I need that for? I have a video.
Okay.
I have a video.
Did you see the stop sign in the video? No. You have no idea how close I was.
You just told me you were approaching a stop sign.
Yeah,
Would
there
you
is
read
a
that
stop
back to
sign.
me?
There is
Would
a
you?
stop sign.
Would you read that back to me? I was approaching a stop sign. Does he say I slowed down? I was approaching a stop sign. I don't remember.
It's about.
I didn't say. I did not
now
say.
you can leave.
I did not say I was slowing down.
Now you can leave.
Heather leaves.
I did not say I was slowing down. I said I was approaching a stop sign.
Okay, that's what I thought. But that's why we have Whitney.
Let's see, he says he was approaching a stop sign at an intersection by the plaintiff's house, and I can see either a reflection or what I see lights headed in my direction, so
Okay,
I swerve.
now I would like to see that video again one more time. I would like to see if I see something coming towards you. Actually, I don't see another vehicle coming towards you. Is that a truck parked there?
It's a food truck behind it. It's like catty corner to his vehicle. There's a food trailer there that had all of the light, right.
Food truck on the other side of the street.
Yes, ma'am.
A food truck that you could see, but that's parked.
Well, I assume since there was no actual lights coming, I assume maybe that's what light reflected off of.
You don't assume anything. All you know is you saw something that made you swerve,
Yes, ma'am.
whether it was there or not there. So am I getting the fact that your total defense is based on the fact that his car shouldn't have been parked there?
Yes, ma'am. Or covered.
Yeah, well, but that's a finable offense, Mr. Gilbert. That's a finable
Finable
offense.
if it doesn't cause an accident.
No, I don't think it caused the accident. You caused the accident.
How did I
You
cause
caused the accident. This is an inert object.
According to my HOA guidelines, that vehicle is supposed to be in his garage. According
just a
to
second.
Texas state law, it's not supposed to be on the road.
And I'm going to tell you, I absolutely agree with you that that's a finable offense if his car is parked.
So
You're trying to interrupt me.
Okay.
That it's a finable offense. The question is his car being parked illegally the proximate cause of this accident? That's the question. Would that
damn
be a
right
fair?
it is.
I didn't ask you a question unless you went to law school.
Huh? No, ma'am,
Unless
I
you went to
didn't.
law school. Am I in the realm? You're closer than that, was Palsgraf versus Long Island Railroad. His car may have been parked in the wrong spot. If you had somebody that left a baby carriage with a baby on the street, which is certainly against the law and would be a neglectful act on the part of the parent, and if you happen to swerve up to avoid something and hit that baby carriage, you can't say that baby carriage is the cause of the accident.
No,
You're
baby
the
carriage
cause of the
isn't.
accident.
No, the owner of the baby carriage is.
No, you are.
No, they are.
So
how am
what?
I responsible for their baby carriage?
Because your car is moving, sir, and if you're approaching a stop sign, you're not supposed
If
to
the
be going.
vehicle wasn't covered, you
just a
could see
second.
the reflectors that are on it. That's what they're there for.
Reflectors on what?
Reflectors on the truck that's covered. They have headlights, turn signals, everything that's reflective that you could see. There was no reflectors or signals for me to see to know it was there.
You would have hit it whether it was covered or not.
Of course.
Very good. May I please see the...
That's horse. I wouldn't have hit it could I seen it.
Kevin, I want to see what he's got as far as work for the car.
Kevin retrieves a document from Bobby, then brings it to Judy.
Okay, so this is clearly a project car, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it don't run.
Get him out of here.
Let's go.
He's done. He's done.
Okay.
Thank you, Lord.
Kevin escorts John out.
Oh, that makes my life so much easier.
Bobby grins.
And later today.
You wanted to go. There was no reason why you couldn't. That's why you drive a motorcycle, because you can get into tight places and you can go. But you look like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Don't take chances. That was a chance. It could have been a lot worse.
A woman nods. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Bobby.
Bobby Gonzalez claims his neighbor, John Gilbert, hit his classic pickup truck. John is countersuing for car damage and harassment.
By the way, both the defendant and his wife have a counterclaim. Their counterclaim is for damages to their car and for harassment. Well, since neither one of them can keep control of themselves, the counterclaim is dismissed. I'm looking at this truck, Mr. Gonzalez. When did you purchase it, sir, and from whom?
In October of last year, I purchased it online.
Do you have the bill of sale from when you purchased it?
I don't have the bill of sale, but on the paperwork, I have the post on Facebook and how much I paid for it. It was for $8,000.
Okay.
I also have an appraisal on there as well.
I see the appraisal, but I don't have what it's going to take to fix the spot where he damaged the car. He damaged the car in this whole side end.
Yes.
I mean, he's not going to give you a classic car.
Well, I know.
That's not going to happen.
I know. I know
Okay.
that.
That's not going to happen. And certainly, you do understand that I'm not awarding you anything close, even though they're two obnoxious people, anything close to $10,000. You do understand that, Mr. Gonzalez. You're going to have to get this car fixed right now. I'm looking. Where is a invoice for either the work you had done or an estimate to fix that part of the car that he injured?
I cannot give that to you because
Well, then I don't have it,
the
sir.
vehicle is a classic. It's very hard to find that type of vehicle.
Well, then what you're asking me is to guess, sir.
Well, I can give you the rates as far as how much I'm
You
gonna have.
can't give me anything.
Okay.
You have to take the car in to somebody who deals with classic cars. This is a 70-year-old truck, and it's certainly beat up. You had it covered for a long time. It shouldn't have been on the street. You do know that. And I assume that since it's not driven, you didn't have it insured.
Well, I took it out for Halloween, just for the kids.
Well, I mean, where do you suggest that I conjure up a figure of $10,000 when you have a car that's a year old that has never been driven, that you take out and it's a Halloween ornament? So let me explain this to you. I have to guess at a figure. I would be prepared to award you $2,000 to fix your car because I did see that it had to be damaged as a result of the damage to the defendant's car. If you feel as if you would fare better in your local small claims court where this case came from, because I have dismissed their counterclaim, I will dismiss your case without prejudice and you can take it back to the lower court. Take your choice.
I'll go ahead and take it from you. I know I'm not going to get anything from them.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. Counterclaims dismissed. Fix your car. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I didn't agree on the price, but with them kind of people, I'm not gonna get my money back. It's time to get it repaired.
I think you have to be a certain kind of person to not take any accountability when you hit a stationary object. I'll admit, I think that it was probably a 90%, 10% split, 10% plaintiff's fault for parking on the street. I looked up the section code in Texas and did find that if you leave a car longer than 5 days on the street, you're in violation of a code. But like you tried to explain to the very hot-headed defendant, that's a finable offense. That doesn't mean you can ram into it with your vehicle and not be at fault. I just don't know how you take zero accountability after hitting a stationary object.
I don't know either, but that's, I think, a problem with a country that's grown up in the last 50 years, that it's never your fault.
Yep.
It's always somebody else. It's the state's fault. It's the city's fault. It's somebody else's fault. And it's sad because I know that there was lots of acrimony between the two of them without it. But they were hotheads. This is the first time you ever saw me send somebody out.
A long time.
Yeah,
long time since I've seen it. But when they're clearly not getting the message and they're being hostile, that's not the proper way to come to court.
No.
Especially when you're in the wrong.
All right, but they have to live near each other. I hope that they sort of get it together.
Just keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Case 2067, Garcia versus Taryn. All parties, please step forward.
Amari Garcia is suing fellow motorist April Taryn for damages from a motorcycle accident.
This is a case that's about an automobile-motorcycle collision. Each one of you claims that the other is responsible for the collision. Ms. Garcia, you were riding the motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were in your car?
Yes.
Okay. And this happened on what date?
March 21st, 2022, around 3 p.m.
In what state?
California.
In the state of California, are you required to have insurance on a motorcycle?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just liability?
Liability if it's paid for in full, correct. Yes, Your Honor.
And were you insured on that date?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were driving a car?
Yes.
And was your car insured on March 21st, 2022?
Not at the time.
So the answer is no?
No.
Did you have a valid driver's license on March 21st, 2022?
Yes.
From what state?
California.
What kind of car were you driving?
A 2011 Nissan Sentra.
Was it a new car for you, or did you have it for a while?
It's a new car. I purchased it 3 weeks prior to the incident.
And if you bought it 3 weeks before, how come you didn't have liability insurance?
I was looking for insurance, and plus, at the time, I hadn't received my paperwork. It was still in the other person's name at the used car dealership that I bought it from. Your Honor.
You know you're not supposed to be driving a car, Miss Taryn, without insurance.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay. You wanted to say something?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I have proof that April Taryn purchased her vehicle February 8th, 2022. She drove uninsured for 41 days, and it was not from a lot. It was from someone off the street. I have the proof for that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes.
Amari hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
For $2,050.
Judy reviews it.
Well, this car that you registered, the selling price was $2,050, according to this.
No, it wasn't. And
well, I'm going to show you vehicle and transfer law. This is 2011 Sentra, and it was signed, but it's LLC. That's his company.
Okay.
So it wasn't off the street, but it said the selling price was $2,000. That's what this says.
I don't have my paperwork in my car.
Want to show this to her?
Kevin brings the document to April.
I just want to get some basic facts first, and then I'm going to go to the incident.
But that's and
no, the person, the seller.
And you know, I have my paperwork in my car.
Yeah, but you understand that that's
I understand what you said because it's right there. Yes.
Okay, we have a diagram. This happened on March 21st, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You had no insurance, and you were traveling in the bike lane.
No, that is not true. I shared the lane of the car on the right. I would never go into a bike lane. That is disrespectful to the road and riders.
Just a second. Are you allowed to share a lane with a car and a motorcycle?
That is your right, yes.
I know Foothill. Is that where you were?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at a certain time during the day, Foothill becomes very trafficked.
Yes.
And the cars sometimes get stopped because there's a light, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go over to there, Miss Garcia, and show me, please.
Amari approaches the diagram of the accident.
where you were positioned before you say that you were traveling in the same lane as a car.
Your Honor, I was directly behind this car.
Okay.
Directly behind.
You were directly behind that car.
Yes.
And that car was stopped.
They were slowing to a stop.
No, they were stopped because they had to have been stopped because that's why you went around him.
They were slowing to a stop. By the time I got around here, they were stopped. I didn't want to veer into here. I was slowing down. I was around 25 miles per hour. This lane at the time was too close. So I shared this lane on this side.
Miss Garcia, I got it, Miss Garcia. You want me to appreciate the fact that you wanted to get around the stopped car and you wanted to continue to go straight, correct? You weren't turning. You wanted to go straight.
I was going straight, correct.
And so you want me to picture in this tiny mind of mine that instead of going into a perfectly clear bike lane, you inched your way at 25 miles an hour in the same lane as a stopped car.
Yes.
Right.
This diagram.
You know, I find that hard to believe, Miss Garcia.
Your
I
Honor,
really find that hard to believe. You may be in the right with regard to this, but I find it hard to believe.
The
because
roads are very wide. I have the actual police photo document of that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Amari returns to the plaintiff's table, then produces a document and hands it to Kevin.
Right here.
And I'd like to see the police report as well. Is there a police report?
It's attached to this.
Fine.
Kevin brings the document to Judy.
Because as you were traveling straight, the defendant was making a left turn. She was making a left turn because the two cars there were stopped, and those were the only two traffic lanes there. Now, I don't know whether she could see whether it's a motorcycle or a bicycle traveling in the bike lane, but what happened was she was making a left turn. According to this, you went into her passenger side. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Caption, coming up.
So where is the motorcycle now?
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it.
What are you driving around in now?
1995 Chevy Baville.
Atta girl!
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Amari and April.
Amari Garcia is accusing fellow motorist April Taryn of damaging her motorcycle. April claims Amari was illegally driving in the bike lane.
Judy reviews a document.
Who was in the car with you, Miss Taryn?
My son and his girlfriend.
One of them had an injury.
Yes. My son's girlfriend, she was in the driver's passenger side. And while I was turning into the lane, I just felt a crash and saw glass going into my car, and then she was cut.
Okay, and you had an injury to your knee?
Yes, I have several injuries. And I have photos as well.
You understand, Miss Taryn, that the police interviewed witnesses. The witnesses were in the stopped cars.
Yes.
And at the end of all of their interviewing process, they determined that you were the cause of the collision. That's what it says.
And I don't...
It says that you caused the collision by violating Vehicle and Traffic Law 21-8001, failure to yield when making a left turn. I determined the cause based upon the parties involved and the physical evidence. That's what the police determined. Okay, well, then that's an easy, based upon the police report, because each of you are going to tell two different stories about what happened that day. Police were there, they looked at the physical evidence, they looked at the injuries, they looked at the damage to the roadway, they interviewed independent witnesses, and that was their determination.
I understand, Judge, but the police report had some inconsistencies where, like, she was driving in the bicycle lane, which is against the law. And what I was doing, I was making the left turn, as you know. And these two front cars, which one of them was a witness.
Yes, that car paused to let you make a left turn.
Yes, both lanes. And I was...
No, you said both lanes.
Both lanes paused.
Well, that's what you say.
Yes.
That's what you say. That's not what this says.
See, but they both did. And as I was
But I'm just telling you.
No, I know. And
Yeah,
that's why
I'm just telling you. That's not what this is. That's what you say. There was nothing that prevented those two cars from going.
Exactly.
There wasn't a traffic light. There wasn't a stoplight at that spot.
Yes.
And there was heavy traffic.
Yes.
So it's your responsibility to make sure if you're making a left turn that you have to yield to all oncoming traffic.
And
so the fact that you didn't see her is really not relevant. And as long as you understand that this police report supports Miss Garcia's claim that you caused this accident by making a left turn, when you shouldn't have been making a left turn. That's what this says. And that, you know, at the end of the day, it's an accident. That's why it's not called an on purpose. It's called an accident. Neither one of you anticipated it. As far as I'm concerned, Ms. Carcer, you're entitled to be compensated, but I'm going to suggest this to you. If I'm driving a motorcycle, which I would never do, just for me, I think it's wacky. I think there are enough crazy people driving around that I like about 2,000 pounds of steel around me, so that if somebody who is not paying attention and there's an accident, I like to be safe. My first car when I was 17, all my friends were getting these cute little cars, you know, that were convertibles, and my father bought me a 15-year-old blue and white Cadillac sedan. It was so embarrassing to drive around in that car. It was a boat. Oh, come on. Everybody else is getting these cute little Corvettes, even if they're used ones. And my father, who loved me a lot, said to me, sweetheart, if you get into the accident, I want you to come out unscathed. And this ensures that you got a shot if you get into an accident. And I feel better. So I'm just telling you, if you're going to drive a motorcycle, don't take shortcuts. I know this place on Foothill, and I know what happened here. You know, you wanted to go, there was no reason why you couldn't. That's why you drive a motorcycle, because you can get into tight places. But you look like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Don't take chances. That was a chance. It could have been a lot worse. What was the damage to your motorcycle?
I have pictures. Would you like to see them, Your Honor?
I would.
I did look it up. Lane splitting motorcycles is legal in California, based on the California Highway Patrol.
Amari hands photos to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews them.
Okay, I know. I see the pictures. So where is the motorcycle now?
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it. They sold it for $70 they claim, and I got hit with collections afterwards. I have the bill for that if you'd like to see that.
How much did you pay for it?
$6,407.
Do you have the bill?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
For my motorcycle, what I paid for, correct?
Yes, what you paid for it.
Amari hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
What are you driving around in now?
A 1995 Chevy Baville.
Atta girl! Atta girl. Okay. I'm giving you the value of the motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's just $6,407. I'm not splitting whose fault this was, actually, but I'm not awarding you any punitive damages for her. She had injuries in her car. You were slightly injured, but both of you seem fine now. I don't think that you were careful enough when you were going straight and around that car that was stopped. But the defendant didn't have insurance, and she was cited by the police for violation of a traffic law. So I'm giving you the cost of your motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
So I actually ended up, after the car had made impact with me, the bike went that way, I went up into the air.
It was really frightening.
I hit the ground, I hit on my elbow.
I've never experienced that before.
I was really scared. I thought, like, oh, this is it, my legs are out.
And like I said, I was being cautious, and
thankfully I wasn't.
But it ended up in that kind of situation.
Definitely more safely as far as better gear, and, you know, like she said, don't take a shortcut or anything of that sort.
Sarah.
So I looked up lane splitting, and in California, it's one of the few states that allows it for motorcyclists. It does say inexperienced riders shouldn't attempt it because, like we see, it's very easy to get hit or for someone not to see you if you're splitting between lanes, but it is legal. So she wasn't in the wrong by lane splitting, but I think it was a sticky situation. You're behind a car, someone's turning.
What does it say if you're injured?
It does say on the Highway Patrol website that you're splitting at your own risk. So any injuries that happen are at your own risk.
So they say if you are lane splitting, it's not illegal, but if you have injuries as a result of an accident, if you're lane splitting, you're responsible for your own injuries.
It doesn't say it in a legal term that I could really stick to, but it says it's risky. We're acknowledging that it's risky. You have to assume the risk of lane splitting if that's what you choose to do.
Interesting.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.
Your mother passed away.
Yes, ma'am. She agreed to pay everything.
I said, I'll loan you the money. Sorry.
She contacted me.
That is not why I contacted him. Sorry.
Now you're getting cute with me.
Sorry.
This is Judy Justice. Spencer is suing her cousin, Chris Jennings, for a loan to cover funeral costs.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2009, Jenny Spencer versus Jenny.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Spencer, are you related to Mr. Jennings?
I am.
How?
He's my cousin.
How?
On our dad's side. So his father and my father. That's how we're related.
How were they related?
So his dad and my father are pretty close in age, but they are cousins themselves. But my dad is pretty young, so they're close. My dad and his father are close in age, so they were more like brothers.
I still don't understand.
My father and his father were first cousins, but I was raised by my grandparents, so that's why we're close.
Okay, so your fathers were first cousins?
Yes.
Okay. Your mother passed away.
Yes, ma'am.
When?
Mother's Day on 2020.
Were you close to your mother?
I was very close.
Did you live together?
I was taking care of her for 8 years while she was...
So you were living with her?
Yes, ma'am.
How old was she when she passed away?
58.
What did she pass away from?
Her arteries had blockage. She had surgery twice, and they couldn't do the third surgery. Plus, she had 3 strokes.
When you were taking care of your mother, was that a full-time responsibility?
Full-time. She had a colostomy bag, and plus she was in a walker before she had the strokes.
Was it just you and your mother living together?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it in her home?
It was in my home.
In your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that an apartment?
It was a house.
That you rented?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you and your mother support yourself?
I'm an RF technician, so I worked when I could be away from home, but when she got real bad sick, where she couldn't even walk, I couldn't even work, so I couldn't even go out of town. So I work on the road a lot. And she gets a disability check, which is about $1,800, which wasn't much at all for us to survive.
Are you back at work now?
Yes, ma'am.
Who are you working for?
Myself. I'm a contractor, Extreme Communications.
When your mother passed away, Mr. Jennings, are you an only child?
Yes, ma'am.
She passed away in the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
At that time, you didn't have money for her funeral arrangements.
No, ma'am.
And you didn't have the funds to even take her body out of the hospital.
No, ma'am.
So what did you do?
Well, I thought I had insurance settlement. I was going to take care of that because she did have 2 burial plots. But when we went to...
Who's we?
Me and Angela.
Who is Angela?
She's my fiance. But when we went up there to... we've got 2 burial plots. When we went there to turn those in mortuary, they added on $10,000 or $15,000 to actually bury her. And I was unable to do that because her insurance had lapsed 2 or 3 months. You know.
So you didn't have money to take care of your mother's funeral expenses?
I did not.
Do you want to tell me how the plaintiff got involved with that?
I told Tracy exactly what... Yes.
At some point, your mother passed away on Mother's Day in 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you contact Miss Spencer or did she contact you?
She contacted me.
When?
During the process of me suffering because I didn't have the cash to front my mother's funeral.
Well, you know, it's hard for me to ask the question, how did she know about that? But
yes, ma'am.
Were there other relatives?
I was posting things on Facebook.
Okay.
That's
so what did you post on Facebook?
That I was trying to do a GoFundMe to help with my mother's funeral.
And how much after she died did you post something on Facebook?
Nothing much, not at all.
A day, 2 days?
About 3 or 4 days after.
Did you see that? Is that why you contacted him?
That is not why I contacted him.
Okay, so why don't you tell me why? That's not what you said in your papers, so I'm curious. Why did you contact him?
As he said, his mother had been sick for quite some time, so her death wasn't completely unexpected. We had been following her progression on Facebook, and Chris is correct. He had been taking care of his mother. They were very close. But when the family saw on Facebook that she had passed, nothing got posted about funeral arrangements. And some of the members of my family who were not on Facebook contacted me and said,
don't tell me what they said to you.
Sorry.
So you were contacted by members of your family?
Correct, that are not on Facebook, asking about care.
Don't tell me what they asked.
I'm sorry.
As a result of those conversations, did you contact him?
Eventually. I did not contact him immediately because I just didn't feel like it was the right time. I knew.
When? Was it in June?
So it was right after her passing. I contacted his stepbrother and stepsister first because when I had not seen anything for 3 days about funeral arrangements, rather than calling Chris, who I knew would have his hands full handling matters, I actually contacted his stepbrother and stepsister and I said, do you know anything about funeral arrangements?
Nobody did.
And so they didn't know anything and suggested that I reach out to Chris. I said, well, I hate to do that. This is a really bad time, but I did it anyway. And so I called Chris and I said, Chris, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you're going through a lot, but some people are asking me about your mother's arrangements and I don't know what to tell them. It's been several days. Have you picked out a mortuary? And he started crying immediately, understandably so. He said, Tracy, I'll be honest with you, I don't even have the money to get her out of the hospital. He said, it's going to cost $500 to get her out. I said, okay. And I believed, without a shadow of a doubt, that he truly didn't have the money because they had a very tight relationship. So there was no question in my mind if he had the $500 to get her out, he would have. I said, Chris, it's okay. I'll loan you the money. I'll call the hospital. I'll take care of it. Just calm down. And so we hung up. I called the hospital and I told them, I said, I'm not next of kin, but I'm going to take care of this matter on behalf of my cousin. So here's my credit card for $500. And the morgue told me that I couldn't pay $500, that was only their portion of having her body released from the morgue, that they could only send her body to a funeral home.
They have to send it someplace. If they're releasing it, they have to send it someplace.
Correct. They said that she had been there for so long that she needed to go within the next day because they can only stay there for 5 days. And
got it.
Sorry. Okay. So they said she needs to go now. And if you don't come get her or have a funeral home come get her, we're going to have to send her to Spartanburg County and they're going to be in charge of her remains, and the next of kin is at risk of being arrested for abandonment. And so I freaked out. I called Chris back. I said, Chris, I said, it's not $500. I said, they're not going to let us get her, and do you know you're close to being arrested? And, you know, I felt really bad about that.
Where do you live?
Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Just take a look and see if you can find out next of kin responsibility. I'm surprised that you were given that information from the hospital, but I may be wrong.
Morgue. Yes. So I called Chris and I said, the morgue is not going to let us get her body without a funeral home. Do you have a funeral home picked out? And I think at that time he said he didn't. And so he made some phone calls, Chris did, and then he called me back and he said, I found a mortuary. And so the mortuary that he selected was the one that ended up taking care of her remains. And so instead of me loaning him $500 to get her released from the hospital, I ended up getting stuck with $1,500 because I had to pay the mortuary.
Okay. He found a mortuary.
Yes, ma'am.
When you called the mortuary, did they tell you what it would cost?
I didn't call the mortuary to find out anything about that. She did. She agreed to pay everything.
No, just a second. I'm not getting there.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not there yet.
Yes, ma'am.
So the question is, did you call the mortuary?
I called them to see if they could take care of my mother.
That's what I asked you. I said, did you call the mortuary?
Yes, ma'am.
And after you spoke to the mortuary, you called the plaintiff back.
Sure did.
Okay. When you called the mortuary and she had already told you it would be $500 to get your mother's remains from the morgue, but then you had to take her remains someplace. You couldn't take them in your car.
Right.
They had to go someplace.
Yes, ma'am.
And common sense would suggest that you would ask what their cost was, what their fee was. Is not an answer.
For a cremation.
For whatever, and they told you it was how much?
They told me for the cremation, it was about $1,500 for cremation.
Okay, and then you called your cousin back.
Yes.
And let me hear the conversation, as you recall it, between yourself and your cousin.
Okay. I called her back and told her that I didn't have the money to take care of that. She goes, don't worry about it, Chris, I'll take care of it. It's exactly what was said.
Now, was that before or after you set up a GoFundMe page?
That was before.
So she took care of the bill?
Yes.
So this was 5 days after your mother's death? Shh.
Yeah.
You said it was after. Now, so it was 5 or 6 days before your mother's body was taken to the funeral home for the purposes of cremation. How many days after that did you start a GoFundMe page?
A couple days.
2 days. And what was the language in the GoFundMe page?
To help take care of my mother's funeral.
Well,
and expenses.
Shh, Mr. Jennings, if what you just said to me previously was Read back to me, Whitney, what Mr. Jennings said about the conversation that he had with her. It started with, "Don't worry about it."
He said, okay, I called her back and told her that I didn't have the money to take care of that. She said, don't worry about it, Chris. I'll take care of it. That's exactly what was said.
Okay, good. So if she said she would take care of it, why would you post an outcry for money from strangers to bury your mother?
To go during the process of getting that money is exactly
No. Let's follow what you said, Mr. Jennings. What you told me was that you had the conversation, she took care of the bill. 2 or 3 days later, you started a GoFundMe page for your mother's funeral expenses. Is that not what he said?
Yes.
If it was a gift to you, I'm not understanding why you would start a GoFundMe page.
It's because it wasn't taken care of within 2 or 3 days, ma'am.
What do you mean it wasn't taken care of?
She didn't pay the bill within 2 or 3 days is the thing. That's the reason I did that.
Well, they wouldn't release they wouldn't release the body unless they got paid with a credit card.
I understand that, but I was trying to
Just
have
a second.
backup.
A backup for what?
Just in case you didn't
hey,
fall through.
Mr. Jennings, now you're getting cute with me.
No, ma'am.
Now you're getting cute with me.
And later today,
He said to you,
I need to borrow $2,300.
and you said to him,
Why can't you ask anybody else?
And he said to you,
His girlfriend's father, if he were to ask him, he would pry and find out that he was addicted to cocaine.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Tracy and Chris.
Tracy Jennings Spencer says her cousin, Chris Jennings, owes for a loan to cover his mother's funeral costs. Chris claims it was a gift.
now, the plaintiff had to give the hospital her credit card. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So before they released the body, which they had to do within a day, they had her credit card. And it wasn't until after that that you started a GoFundMe page. Okay. And don't raise your hand. And how much money did you receive from this GoFundMe page?
Like $200.
Okay. And you received $200 within what period of time?
Within probably 3 weeks.
How much of that $200 did you give to Miss Spencer?
0.
And your total cost was $1,500. Is that correct? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500.
This court is adjourned.
Tracy, then Chris.
Well, I'm very pleased that she saw what really did happen.
I think everything went exactly as planned.
I tried to step up in a time of desperation and in an emergency situation, and look where it got me.
Everything's fine.
I think we'll be able to move past. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still my cousin, he's still my blood, and I'm always gonna love him.
Judy and Sarah.
I actually didn't need the answer to that question that I threw out at you with regard to whether a child is responsible for the remains of their parent, because it was just clear, you know, when you get them to do a timeline for you.
A lot of stuff
sometimes
unravels.
It all unraveled because what was the reason for starting a GoFundMe page if, as he alleged in his answer, she volunteered to pay for the funeral, unless he felt an obligation. Now, the obligation had to be as a result of that conversation that he would start a GoFundMe page. Anyway, unfortunate that she seemed like a very nice lady, very responsible, and she was very caring towards him. Shouldn't have ended up here.
Case number 2010, Hickman versus Vensloff. All parties, please step forward.
Vanessa Hickman is suing her trainer, Dylan Vensloff, for an unpaid loan.
Ms. Hickman, your case is relatively simple. You claim that you made a loan to the defendant, who was your personal trainer, when he said he was in a financial bind and he needed rent money, and he made the loan. And he paid some. His wife paid some.
Correct.
He made a couple of payments, but there is still a substantial balance.
Correct.
Mr. Vensloff said that this was not a loan, but prepayment for his training services, and that you sort of backed out of the training/nutrition program. So that's your problem. You lose your money. That's your defense, right?
Yes.
Just curious, before I get started with this case, how much do you get per hour for personal training? No, don't look over there. I want you to know that I know all about this. Everybody that I know except me has a personal trainer. I work out every day. I don't take instruction well, so I don't have a personal trainer. I have a husband who had a personal trainer. All my friends have personal trainers. So now I want you to answer my question, unless there's something extraordinary about you, which there is not. How much do you get per hour for personal training?
$75.
That's a reasonable figure. Just informational purposes. How much money did you take from Miss Hickman?
How much money did I take?
Yes, how much money did you take from me? I haven't decided what it's for, but money exchanged between you, she has proof of how much it was, and you. How much money?
I believe it was $2,300.
Is that right?
Correct.
And on what date did she give you $2,300?
I believe sometime at the end of last year, or it was close to the beginning of this year, somewhere along that time.
Date?
November 22nd, 2021.
And at that time, how long had you been training her? Since when? When did you start with her as a client?
I think like the beginning of summer last year, so I'd say...
Date?
July 2021.
Beginning, middle, or end?
Beginning.
July, August, September, October. So you had been training her for 4 months.
Yes, ma'am.
Up until November 22nd, how much money had she given you for training? Did she pay you by the week? Did she pay you by the month? How did she pay you?
Up front, first,
okay.
Monthly.
In July?
Yep.
Not yup. That's not yup.
Yes,
Yup
ma'am.
you say to your friends or to your wife. So in July,
Yes.
when you started,
Yes.
she gave you how much?
500.
For the month of July.
Yes, ma'am.
The month of August, how much did she give you?
500.
Is that correct?
Correct.
September,
Same amount, ma'am.
500. October,
Same amount.
November,
Same amount.
the beginning of November.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
not
actually,
yeah is not an answer. The beginning of November, did she give you $500?
No, because that's when we had the agreement.
No. Don't give me agreement nonsense. The beginning of July, she gave you $500.
Yep.
Beginning of August,
Yep.
she gave you $500. Beginning of September,
Yes.
she gave you $500. The beginning of October, she gave you $500. How much did she give you in the beginning of November? This $2,300 was not paid until November 22nd. How much did she give you the beginning of November?
Then it must have been $500.
Is that correct? So now she has given you $2,500
Yes, ma'am.
for 5 months. She's given you $2,500.
Yes, ma'am.
Now I want you to tell me what happened in November after you gave him the $2,500.
So we agreed to $100 monthly payments.
This is in November?
November, after we signed the agreement.
What agreement?
The agreement was that...
No, I want to see the agreement. Don't tell me what it
Absolutely.
was. I'd like to see it.
Vanessa hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She dons her glasses, then reviews it.
Who wrote this?
I did.
Well, I don't actually understand it. It says, I, Mr. Venzloff, hereby accept $2,300 from my client, Vanessa Hickman, in trade and paid in advance for training. This will cover meal plans, planned workouts, in-person training, check-ins, and virtual check-ins from November 22nd, 2021 to May 15th, or 1 month of training and payment plans of no less than $100 a month, starting 12/22/21. I agree to pay back the full amount in 12 months. I actually don't understand what that means, because you agreed to pay back the full amount in 12 months by paying her no less than $100 a month, starting December 2021. First part says you're accepting this $2,300 from your client in trade and paid in advance for training, but that you will pay her $100 a month and be finished paying her in 12 months by 11/22/2022. Okay. So you wrote this up.
Yes.
I don't understand it because it doesn't make sense.
Of course.
So there had to be a reason why you picked this $2,300. He's been training you July, August, September, October, and November. You paid him $500 each month, or about $120 a week. And all of a sudden, there's a $2,300. What is there something that I said funny?
Dylan's wife's eyes widen.
All of a sudden, there's $2,300. Tell me how the $2,300 came about.
So over the course of those months, we became good friends. I see him 3 times a week. We get to know each other, talk, open up, and we're very friendly with each other. He opened up about me, about having financial hardships.
No, he'd opened up. He said to you.
Yeah, he said to me, I need to borrow $2,300.
And you said to him?
Why can't you ask anybody else?
And he said to you?
His girlfriend's father, if he were to ask him, he would pry and find out that he was addicted to cocaine.
That's what he told you?
Correct.
And what did you say to him?
Oh, okay. So if I give you this money, we're going to write an agreement to cover me in case you don't pay me back.
And what did he say?
Okay. And that day on November 22nd, we wrote out the agreement.
No, you wrote the agreement.
Absolutely. I wrote it down, and he gave me a photo of his driver's license that day. And
you have a copy of that driver's license?
I do have a photo on my phone, yes.
I'd like to see it.
Of course.
Vanessa hands her phone to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
So you were working, and he was working. He was making money. So if you're the wife, you say, what do you mean? We need money for rent. I'm working. You're working. What's it all about? Did you know he had a drug problem?
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Vanessa and Dylan.
Vanessa Hickman claims her trainer, Dylan Venzloff, owes for an unpaid loan. Dylan says it was a trade agreement and not a loan.
Okay. Mr. Venzloff, understanding what I said to you before, that everybody that I know has a trainer. Everybody, except me. Nobody that I know has the driver's license of their trainer. Nobody. And I'm very old. Now, can you give me a logical reason why the plaintiff would have a copy of your driver's license in her phone?
To make sure that the trade agreement stays.
What's the trade agreement?
The trade agreement was that she was going to give me the money, and I was going to...
Just a second. Let's go back for a second.
Yeah, no problem.
So what she says, in part, was accurate. Is that what you're telling me?
In part.
That you became friends, you would talk to her, you had a girlfriend, you knew he had a girlfriend.
Correct.
You asked her for money.
Yes, ma'am.
Different amount of money because you were in financial difficulty.
Yes, ma'am.
And that she asked you, why couldn't you ask your girlfriend's father? Because she evidently knew that based upon the fact that you were friends, that you're the wife, girlfriend, whatever, your father has money?
Yes.
Okay. Why couldn't you ask the girlfriend's father, right?
Yes.
She asked you that question?
Yes.
And did you say to her, because I didn't want him to pry?
Yes.
Because I have a cocaine habit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so she gave you the $2,300.
Yep.
Not yup.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Perfect. And that was on the 22nd of November of last year. After she gave you that money, and you were supposed to, according to this agreement, make $100 a month payments to her. That would took. That's what it says.
Yeah, if I was unavailable.
No, it doesn't say. There's nothing here that says unavailable.
Well, it's actually...
There's nothing. That's why I don't understand this agreement.
Yeah.
You see, not yet. That's why I don't understand this agreement, because one talks about training and workouts, and one talks about you agreeing to pay her back within 12 months at no less than $100 a month. So it doesn't make any sense. So now I have to figure out what it was that really happened. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this paper says something about $100 a month. Now, did you ever give her $100 a month?
Yes, for a certain amount of month.
In what months did you give her $100 a month?
I think it was the first 3 months.
And you gave it to her how?
Via Venmo.
Did he give you the first 3 months?
He gave me the last 2 months, and his wife paid me the first month.
That would be you? Yes. Stand up, please.
Dylan's wife rises.
Tell me your last name.
Venzloff.
When did you find out that your husband had taken money from the plaintiff?
When she had sent me a message on Instagram asking for me to send her money that he was late on a payment.
And that was in what month?
I believe mid-January she messaged me.
January of 2022.
Correct.
And up until that time, your husband had not told you that he took money from the plaintiff. That's an easy question.
I don't believe so, no.
He had not. Well, that's what it sounded like. You didn't know about it because the first you heard about it was when she sent you a message. So he had not told you that he took money from her before. Now, when you found out, you confronted him about this, did you take money from the plaintiff?
I did.
And what did he tell you?
He told me that he had to pay for rent that month.
Were you living together?
We were already married.
Were you working?
I was.
So you were working, and he was working. He was making money. So if you're the wife, you say, what do you mean? We need money for rent. I'm working. You're working. What's it all about? Did you know he had a drug problem?
That was when I found out.
Okay. Well, that's a fair question. I like the honesty. Did you have discussions with him about that?
Yes.
Did he go into rehab?
Yes.
Great. When did he go into rehab?
He went for a week in December into a detox, and then he went for a month this last June, I believe.
Because he had a relapse?
Yes.
How long was it in June?
30 days.
During December and June, had he ever been arrested?
No.
So he did this voluntarily.
Yes.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Take a breath. All fine. Your husband owes her $1,800. That's what she's suing for. That's what he owes her. He knows he owes her that money. She was doing a good thing. She was being kind to him. And probably, ultimately, if he stays clean, saved his life. Reasonable, because but for that, you wouldn't have found out, you wouldn't have forced him to take some action. Is that what happened?
Yes.
Do you have a drug problem?
I don't know.
Does your father still not like him?
They're best friends.
They're best friends?
Yes.
Interesting. I'm absolutely shocked. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Vanessa, then Dylan.
I thought that she handled it very well. I didn't need to go over all the details. She did that all for me.
Honestly, it was a trade agreement, which it clearly states in the first part, so I had the entire year.
I don't think that he could have sent me the payments. I had to keep
To either pay her back or train her, and she served me before the contract was even up.
crying and messaging him for it. I think court was where it needed to be settled.
All she wanted was the money back, but I told her I was completely available. Then she moved out of the area.
He's a great trainer, absolutely amazing trainer, hands down. Borrowing money, not the smartest decision.
Well, I think he could have handled the situation differently, but I think he was trying to do his best to get us out of a sticky situation.
I think it's about time to find someone else.
Judy and Sarah.
I remember my law school days, Sarah. Not clearly, but I remember my law school days. And you know how important it is, I always say you should have a writing. But you're supposed to have a writing that's clear. And I know that there's a rule of law that if a contract or an agreement is ambiguous, that a third party can't figure out, fact finder can't figure out what the intent of the parties was. Was it a training agreement, which is what he said, which is a lot of baloney? Was it a loan that you're allowed to go beyond that contract? So your experience in law school is much closer.
I did just study this, so it's true that if a fully integrated agreement, meaning that it's clear, the meeting of the minds between parties is clear to a third-party fact finder, then usually outside evidence is not allowed because you clearly have what the meeting of the minds of the parties was. However, in a case like this, when it's more ambiguous or the terms are ambiguous or you're not quite clear what the meeting of the minds was for, a loan, like you said, or training, you're allowed to bring in outside evidence to gap fill those sort of ambiguous
And to
terms.
figure out what the intent of the parties was.
Exactly. So for that exact reason, but I can appreciate that she had enough wherewithal to know that she should have something written. Maybe next time she'll make it just a little clearer for a judge.
Thank you.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.
Credits.
বের হয় না, বের হইলে কিন্তু আবার পরে টাইম পাবো না ঢোকার।
কোথায় বেরো?
গেমেই থাকো আমরা
এমনি কি আমার মেয়ে দিল? আমি বাইরে গেছি, এমনি কই দিছে। বলতে গেলে সবাই ভাই কাইন্ড অফ ঠেকাই পরে বর্তমানে প্যানেল ইউজ করে। সবাই বলতে গেলে বর্তমানে ঠেকাই পরে কাইন্ড অফ প্যানেল ইউজ করে।
হ্যাঁ, কারণ হ্যাকারদের সাথে খেলতে পারে না। ওদের সাথে খেলতে গেলে তো হ্যাকার হতে হবে।